doing that. I wasn't researching stuff. I think it's totally cool. And Matt says that, his son is basically so uber smart that it goes over his head.
Yeah.
And, Matt's super smart. So it's gonna be a fun 9 o'clock hour for sure.
There's no problem with your son being smarter than you are, I guess.
Mine is. Whatever. We have a couple other guests as well.
Yeah, we do. We have a guest. Well, actually, we only have one other guest. We're going to have a guest from 8:39, but
Frank Kagel?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a local guy. I'll be having him in. He's got a long history of journalism locally in this area. So we're
fun.
Yeah, apparently a fairly devout libertarian. If I can pull up this message from Richard Asparz I hear right now. Let's see. Yeah, the article we're going to be talking about today. Article entitled "Used to Heights, Jennings is well-grounded in politics." Let's see. Where I might also talk to him too about the fact that Rohera is leaving her successor with a laundry list of things to do that may or may not be easy to accomplish. Oh yeah, the Conspiracy Theory Thursday. That's what I was going to talk about as well. When Caller Matt comes in with this, then we might talk some about history revisionist stuff. We might talk about. I have a few other topics pulled up for Conspiracy Theory Thursday. They think they finally found who.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, no, Bigfoot would be one. Why? Oh, why did I forget his name? The serial killer in London, Jack the Ripper. Goodness gracious. Yeah, they think they found, no. Well, that's what the article says, anyways. I don't know. I mean. Who knows, man? Who knows? But that's the article.
I thought that he died a long time ago.
Oh no, he definitely did die a long time ago. But they never really discovered his identity. I think he killed 5 prostitutes, something to that effect, maybe a little bit more. I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was more than that. Yeah.
It might have been more than that. But apparently, whatever the number he killed, apparently they never really identified the guy. So here's the headline: Jack the Ripper identity may finally have been revealed as Polish barber claims scientists using DNA from the scene. So we'll see what happens.
So what, they're saying he's alive, or they just identified his dead body?
Not that he's dead. No, just that they identified who the person was. They always thought that there was some connection too with royalty, which is why he was able to evade prosecution so easily. Is that he apparently was either paying people off or he was on the inside, or I don't know.
Oh, I could believe that.
Yeah, who
it
knows?
all started there with Jack the Ripper, guys.
That's right. Also, some of the local stuff. If you want to get to this, the Vestal community blames city of Knoxville for increased homeless activity. Some other evergreen things that I may test today as well. Conservatives face a tough fight as big tech censorship expands. Obviously, the Twitter stuff going on with Joe Rogan I never got to. America's first non-binary person says it was all a sham. Can Facebook start charging you more for your insurance costs based upon what you post? I also have a really interesting article here, I believe, from Forbes talking about U.S. colleges is where meritocracy goes to die. Where meritocracy, not a meritocracy, where meritocracy goes to die. That is to say that you're judged based upon the merit of what you bring to whatever fill in the blank, whether it be a job or a classroom or whatever. You're usually judged on the merits of what you bring to those potential prerequisites. Like, are you doing a good job? It should bear itself out in the results. LeBron James is doing a good job because he's 6'8" and he can dunk from the 3-point line. You get what I'm saying? For no other reason is he doing a good job in the NBA. Regardless of what Tiger Woods was doing behind the scenes with cheating on his wife or whatever else, the fact of the matter is when he was at this prime, he was still destroying the rest of the field. Meritocracy, right? Obviously, what everyone's starting with today, and this is probably what I'm going to start with today too. Headlines coming out now that Donald, which I think is just so fantastic. Donald Trump has come out now and said he has no problem at all with making almost the entirety, and this is not, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but basically making the entirety of the Mueller report full public knowledge. Now, there's portions of the Mueller report that just because of simple legalities, you just cannot make public knowledge. But I think what Trump means is, yeah, publish it all. I don't care. Publish every ounce of it. Ultimately, that's going to fall on William Barr's head, and William Barr is going to do whatever Barr is going to do. But it sounds to me like what Trump is probably saying is, we all know there's nothing in there anyways. Otherwise, you would have known about it by now. So make it all public. I don't care. Fall on your face if you want to. And as we're on our way out to this first break here, I do want to make a quick point that I'm probably going to make throughout the rest of the show. If you're one of these individuals, say Democrat or independent, or even maybe some Republicans that are just become frustrated with Trump, or maybe you were on the never Trump train to begin with, you're I don't know what some might consider a rhino, or maybe even an old school neocon. For whatever reason, you just don't like Trump and you want to see Trump go down. I've had a lot of friends on Facebook I've seen post over the last couple of days that I don't know, just a couple of years ago, they were, I don't know, say slightly moderate, even independent, and now they have become full-fledged, maybe not like socialist progressives, but certainly Trump haters. For those kind of individuals, I would venture to say that a sizable portion of them at this point in their lives would think, yeah, there is irrefutable evidence that Trump is under the Russian thumb. That currently speaking, right now, I would think that they would think that Mueller is going to come out with something so damaging, so empirical that you cannot deny it. That there's blackmail or there's some evidence of kickbacks or bribery or some sense of extortion going on, or maybe the number one dossier was true. They have something on Trump where Trump is actually doing Russia's bidding. I mean, after all, that was the entire intention behind the investigation to begin with, was it not? For Mueller to figure out what it is that Russia is using on Trump so that they can have the American politic at its hand, right? So that the American politic, the American system can do Russia's bidding. Now, I don't know how that's worked itself out practically so far, but that's the idea. That's the intention behind what Mueller is supposed to be looking at. So if you're a Democrat and you believe that Mueller does have something, here's my question for you. Did he just figure that out yesterday? Will he figure it out tomorrow? And if he didn't just figure it out yesterday, that means he had to have figured it out sometime prior to yesterday. So here's the follow-up question. Democrats, independents, even Republicans who believe that Mueller has something. Why in the world would Mueller continually allow Russia to have influence on this country? The point being is, why is Mueller rolling this out and taking so long to reveal something? If he actually does have some evidence that Russia is continually having influence on our sitting president right now, what in the world is he doing allowing that to continue? What is Mueller's charge? Does he not have some type of constitutional obligation to stop Russia continually influencing our politics in America, continuing to drive a wedge in between Democrats and Republicans and the entirety of the LGBT community and me and my Republican friend down the street and everybody and their mother? Does Mueller not have some constitutional charge to stop the fire spreading in this country if it is true that Mueller has some evidence that Russia is still influencing? Answer me that. 7:20 in the morning. Be right back.
America's largest replacement window and home remodeling company. Local owners Mark and Claudia will take great care of you. They offer double-hung white vinyl windows. These windows receive the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they come with a lifetime warranty. Plus, they're energy-saving, and they're made right here in America. Folks, I trust Window World. In fact, Knoxville News Sentinel readers voted them the best window company in Knoxville. So call Window World of Knoxville today for a free estimate. 865-938-0314. Located on Old Callahan Road or at windowworld.com. Window World supports the Veterans Airlift Command. Simply the best for less. windowworld.com.
TN Connect Credit Union, helping you stay connected to your money, to your financial goals, to your plans for the future. TN Connect Credit Union is the oldest credit union in Tennessee, and they still hold tightly to the same credit union community values and financial responsibility that they always have. TN Connect Union still connects you with free checking accounts with rewards, emergency fund high-yield savings accounts, and TN Connect Credit Union connects you to the best in modern convenience with comprehensive digital and mobile services. TN Connect Credit Union, connecting you to your new car, a new home, saving for college, saving for retirement, connecting you with financial solutions, with local hometown personal service that's safe, secure, and federally insured. TN Connect Credit Union is located at 6211 Middlebrook Pike in Knoxville. Online at tnconnectcu.org or connect by phone at 865-688-2424. Keeping you connected to your money. TN Connect Credit Union. This traffic report is brought to you by the United States Air Force. Make a living with a career that makes a difference. The United States Air Force has more than 200 career options. Airforce.com.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
No interstate lanes blocked at all. The good news about flying over the interstate, I don't have to worry about hitting the potholes, but you on the interstate, you got to watch yourself in some of the center lanes. Still final clearing of a wreck that's going to be on Cherokee Trail to UT Hospital and Strawberry Plains Pike, a little bit south of the interstate. I want you to walk with us to make Alzheimer's a memory. The walk is Saturday, April 13th at UT Gardens. For more information, please sign up with us, alztennessee.org. From Iowa, Knoxville, I'm Pete Michaels.
Hi, this is John Adams. When you want to hear the best political talk in the Knoxville market, of course, you know you're at the right place. Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. If you want to hear the best in Christian talk, then you need to consider Joy 620, WRJZ, our sister station. The best conservative talk and Christian talk in East Tennessee.
I'm George Norrie. Join me for Coast to Coast AM overnights at 1 a.m. on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Knoxville's talk you can trust.
1 in 5 children in America struggle with hunger. I'm Viola Davis. I was one of those children. I was one of the nearly 17 million kids who worry where their next meal will come from. Join me with the Safeway Foundation and the Entertainment Industry Foundation to help us end childhood hunger.
Help undo hunger for America's children. Go to hungeris.
Thursday! Listen to me! It's Thursday, I swear! $7:25 in the morning. Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. What we're talking about this morning is what everybody's talking about, and that and a few other things, but at least what I'm talking about this morning. If you have an opinion, by the way, 865-888-TALK. That's 865-888-8255. Here's the headline from Fox News. Waiting for Mueller's report, which everybody's doing for quite some time. Just spilled my coffee all over the studio. Upset me even more than I already was before that.
Did you see we got a message in the Real News, like we got an email yesterday asking us what's in the Mueller report?
Who was that, from Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was being somewhat sarcastic.
He thinks we know? Oh, okay. I thought he was being for real.
Oh, he might have been. I don't know. I took it as a sarcastic thing of saying we all need to figure out what's in this Mueller report because it's been a long time coming type thing.
Yeah, like radio hosts don't get it first.
Yeah, well, maybe we do. I don't know. No. Look, I think most people have a speculation as to what's in the Mueller report. That's why I'm going out with this now. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like I've done the Real News audience a bit of a disservice, at least when it comes to this story right here. That being said, because 2 weeks ago I reported that everyone was saying that that Friday was going to be when Mueller was coming out with his report. And then last Friday, everyone said that it was going to be coming out with his report. And now we're here sitting on Thursday, and I'm not saying that tomorrow everyone's saying that he's going to come out with his report, but they are saying it needs to be sometime soon. And the longer he waits, the more it's almost starting to become a situation akin to, I don't know, when a child steals a cookie out of the cookie jar and the parents know that he does, but they're just going to try and see how long he can run the string with before he hangs himself. Right? The more lies you tell, the more you have to inevitably create another lie to cover the previous lie, and then you dig a hole so deep that you don't even remember why you were in the hole in the first place. I'm not saying Mueller's lying. Obviously, I'm not. All I'm saying is he's dug a hole so deep now looking for some type of evidence. Some type of evidence that could portray that smoking gun. And the further he digs down, the more and more he's setting up a scenario by which he's going to, I don't know, to say he's going to let down Democrats would be a massive understatement. I mean, that's for sure. And I think this Fox News headlines hits pretty close as to what we're actually going to see when and if this Mueller, I say if, because, this Mueller report needs to come out sometime prior to the 2020 election, but that's the topic I'm going to get into after this next break here. But what we're probably going to see, and I've said this part all along, very consistent, what we're probably going to see is stuff that gets right up to the edge of something being illegal, but doesn't actually jump into the realm of illegality. And Mueller has just enough individuals so far on the hook that he can make that claim. Well, see, this guy was bad, and Paul Manafort was bad, and this guy did something else bad. Yeah, granted, none of it was related to the whole Russia collusion thing that we're talking about. None of it actually ties to Trump, but it all feels bad enough that we can actually make the public perception seem as if it should tie to President Trump. Now, the frustrating thing there is that eventually that will tend to make people think that this is nothing more than a political ploy, especially the further you stretch this out towards the 2020 election. The further you stretch this out towards the 2020 election, and especially if you stretch it out towards the 2020 election without any evidence to substantiate it, then it really looks like a political ploy as opposed to Mueller actually being genuine in his pursuit to find some sense of justice. No, I think Bob's saying on Facebook, I think you're right, Bob. Bob said, well, maybe, but I think he's looking for a way to save face because there is nothing. I think he's looking for ways not to end his political career. Now, are you talking about Mueller? Who are you talking about, Bob? Are you talking about Mueller or are you talking about Trump or I think you might be talking about Mueller. I don't want to put words in Bob's mouth. He'll respond here in just a second. He's talking on Facebook. Kelly's saying, why? We all know what's in it. Nothing. Eric saying good morning from Nashville. What's up, buddy? If what Bob's means here is that Mueller's looking to save face, then I think you're correct. Yeah, Mueller. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Bob's saying that's what Mueller's doing. No, I think that's totally right. I think Mueller got involved in this from the very beginning, and whoever hired him was saying, look, we were pretty sure something's here. I'm not saying this is how the conversation went, but whoever initially told Bob Mueller that there was something there was probably the individual that was thinking to himself, Bob, we're sure something's there because we planted it there, just so you know. You know what I mean? We're sure you're going to find something, Bob, because one of these people, one of these rats is going to end up flipping because we're the people that paid those rats to flip. Now, when nobody ended up flipping for any substantial information, now Bob Mueller's up the creek, as they say. Let me get to this Fox News headline, at least we don't even have time for it now. I'll just read what's going on. Waiting for Mueller's report, here's the truth about what the special counsel can and cannot do. They go through a couple different items as to, let's see, we have 5 different points as to what you're probably going to see. The first 3, though, that they touch on, and they expound upon here later. Former FBI Director Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel to investigate the following 3 things. It's important to start here. He was appointed to investigate the following 3 things. 1, possible links or coordination between Russia and individuals associated with Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Now, think back right now. What do we have to substantiate that? Possible links or coordination between Russia and individuals associated with Donald Trump's campaign. I don't have time to go through all of it right now. I'll probably do that when I get back. But during the break, think to yourself, this is one of these news breaks coming up. I have a couple, 6, 7, 8 minutes to do this. Who is on the list right now? Between Paul Manafort's, Gates, Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Michael Flynn, Michael Cohen, which is Cohen's not even involved in this thing right now, but any Americans that have went down. And what they've went down for, how can you coordinate that and link to that between, links between Russia individuals and Donald Trump's presidential campaign? 2, the second thing he was assigned to, any matters arising directly from the special counsel's investigation or that had already arisen from the investigation's pre-Mueller phase. Any matters arising directly from the special counsel's investigation or that had already arisen from the investigation's pre-Mueller phase. Now, that's how we get a Paul Manafort charge that stems back from 10 years ago. That's how we get all the other little ancillary charges that you've heard the figures with, the 16, 17, 20, 30, 50 other investigations going on Trump right now. The third, This is again what former FBI Director Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel to investigate the following three things. The third, federal crimes committed with specific intent to interfere with the special counsel's investigation, such as perjury, obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, and intimidation of witnesses. Now, that part right there, I think, is what's going to be focused on the most because it sounds the most salacious. And frankly speaking, they have at least a few people that can point to your Jerome Corsi's or Roger Stone's or whoever else that they can say, see, they were intimidating witnesses. Paul Manafort's a real bad guy. And Roger Stone was trying to shut this whole thing down to begin with. Now, what does that have to do with Trump? I don't know. They're going to figure out how to make it all connect, though. 7:32. Be right back.
Rats nesting in your closets, hiding underneath your socks, living in your living rooms, sleeping by your bedroom clocks. There must be a couple million, and more are coming every day. Soon there could be a couple billion. How will you make us go away?
This local news update is brought to you by Wealth and Retirement Strategies Incorporated.
Bob, sorry, man. It's not that I look so thrilled to be here. No, it's not that I'm not happy to be here. I've just been in a poor mood the last couple of days, man. Getting some bad news from freaking doctors and generally just upset with life. And, you know, man, you know how it goes getting this season sometimes. It's all good, though. It's all good in my hood.
Pattern and the name Gerald imprinted on it. If you think you know who those items belong to, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. The city of Knoxville has started its scooter pilot program. The start was just a little rocky and scooters had to be pulled off the road for some geofencing issues. But program leaders say the scooters should be back out there today. Scooters are already being used in Nashville to get tourists around town. To rent one, just download the Spin app. Coach Rick Barnes is a finalist for the Werner Ladder Naismith Coach of the Year Award. The man who turned the UT basketball program around is also a finalist for the USBWA's Henry Ibo Award for National Coach of the Year. And now you're up to date. I'm Tanya Stout-Brown on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Knoxville's talk you can trust.
This is Steve Vaskard of Wealth and Retirement Strategies. I help baby boomers create a dependable retirement plan. My mission statement is to teach you the wisdom of how money works for better stewardship, to potentially have more, to give more, and to leave more. If becoming a better steward of your wealth is important to you and you need a dependable retirement plan as well, call for my video that explains all the ways I will help you. Please call 691-1211. That's 691-1211.
This Fox Business Report is brought to you by Sandler Sales Training.
From the Fox Business Network, Clorox is suing Lysol, accusing its home cleaning competitor of false advertising. The lawsuit claims Lysol's parent company has been conducting a wide-ranging false and deceptive advertising campaign. Clorox calls itself the top
Notary documents? Notary documents and more. Are you still in here? Did you just come drop that knowledge and mark off? That was kind of weird. Study to show thyself approved, to equally divide the word of truth, to help you God. We become slaves because of our ignorance, not stupidity. Stupidity cannot be corrected. Thank you for your time. I don't know what that means, notary documents. You need to expound. Give me more. Did y'all read that comment? Do you know who that is? Interesting, man. I don't know. Looks like it's a fairly new account. It's posting a lot of political stuff, though. Twilight Zone on Facebook, man. Notary documents coming dropping knowledge in American. Oh, black coffee's so bad. Location relax back. Oh yeah, dude. We should talk about harp today, actually. That's not a bad topic, dude. I'm sure Matt and his son will know all about that. Yeah, that might not be a bad topic. High frequency active overall research project. Yeah, that's true, man. There's been YouTube videos of these people that there's bikes, dirt bikes, what not dirt bikes? I don't know. They're like road bikes, dirt bikes. You can take them, they trek all around Alaska out there. I've watched multiple YouTube videos of people that will roll up to those fences or something where the signs are, and they'll go, I don't know, man, not even a tenth of a mile past those little signs, and all of a sudden they have people showing up with MP5s and trucks all around them, and it's freaking terrifying, bro. Weather manipulation be a good one. Shoot, I didn't prep for that today, man. If we can get some callers on it or some Facebook help, that might be fun to go on today. Any of y'all ever watch Dan Bongino? Or know of him? He apparently has the second most listened to conservative podcast in the nation, and I think he's pretty good. I just didn't know he's that big. 7:41 in the morning. Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a surprising headline, but before I get back into what I was talking about before, I'm going to go to Ray's call here, so I figured I'd break it up a little bit and then go to Ray. Fox Insider. Obviously, a witch hunt. Bongino, a new poll showing a lack of trust in Mueller probe. Poll: 50% of Americans think investigation is a witch hunt. Now, it's interesting because this isn't anything. This isn't a revelatory finding. I mean, look. The poll, which surveyed 1,000 registered voters via live telephone interviews between March 13th and March 17th, found that 50% of respondents agreed with President Trump's negative view of the Mueller probe. 47% disagreed, while 3% were not sure. And I'll tell you what that is. It's basically 50% of the country is Republicans, the other 50% is Democrats, and 3% of the Democrats have high-level PhDs, and they're thinking to themselves like, I don't know, dude, nothing's been said about it yet. So if I'm being honest with this pollster, I kind of have to wait for some type of substantial evidence to come out. And good on those 3% of Democrats. And frankly speaking, I understand where the other 50% of Republicans are coming from because again, the burden of the burden of proof is on the state, is it not? I don't blame those 50% of Republicans for saying this is an obvious witch hunt. Because look, most prosecutions at that point, unless you can prove something substantial, if you're dragging it out for 2, 3, 14, 15 years, and it feels like an obvious witch hunt. The burden of proof is on you, sir. If you're going to make the allegation, you have to prove the allegation. No, we don't presume guilt in this country unless people take unless police officers steal your cash from you because they think that it's being used in a drug deal, More often than not, we don't presume guilt in this country. Well, I'll take that back. Unless you're being vetted for a Supreme Court justice position, we don't usually presume guilt in this country. Most of the time. All right, I'll take that back one more time. We're not supposed to presume guilt in this country. Goodness, man. God, we have gotten so far from the values of what this country used to be. We're not supposed to presume guilt. So those 50% of Republicans, I don't blame for feeling like it's a witch hunt. Because their whole thing is, you have the burden to tell me why the allegations are true. And the more and more I figure out about what these allegations are, the more and more I'm starting to realize, oh, okay, so this Christopher Steele guy, I'm going to go through this real quick because we've done it all this week. This Christopher Steele guy basically got all of his information from Glenn Simpson from Fusion GPS, which was being paid by Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC, funneling this money through. They were fabricating evidence. Glenn Simpson had fabricated this evidence all the way back since 2007 because he was going to do it to John McCain. John McCain lost, so it didn't matter. They repackaged that same Hollywood script, just put Trump's name in there, the same exact players, Paul Manafort in both occasions, which is why Paul Manafort should have went down back in 2010 or really 2007. Glenn Simpson gives the information to Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele tries to validate his information, his own information, by posting it on ICNN, which is basically like a Twitter version of a website. It's a neutral platform. There's no journalistic integrity there. Nobody follows up on the claims. They use this Steele dossier because of Steele's last name, because he already has veracity with the Five Eyes intelligence community. They take it to a FISA court, don't tell the FISA courts at all that's being used for opposition research, specifically with the Hillary Clinton campaign, paid for by the Clinton campaign, to garner opposition research on Trump. Then the FBI has the rationale to weaponize its own intelligence community to garner opposition research on a political opponent. That's what Republicans are figuring out right now. Glenn Simpson's own wife came out with a Facebook post and said, hey, everything Christopher Steele is saying, my husband said first a couple years ago. And then I'm sure Glenn Simpson went back and had a conversation with his wife and said, honey, please stop saying that nonsense. You're right. But the people aren't supposed to know that. They're not supposed to know that. They're supposed to think that Christopher Steele has something legitimate here. So the more Republicans figure out about this, the more they're starting to think, the burden of proof is on you, and you got nothing.
That whole rant Facebook got with Mevo audio. Sorry about that. Yeah, still decent. Republicans, for the entire amount of time, have thought to themselves, the burden of proof is on you, sir. It's on you, Mueller. It's on you, House Democrats. It's all on you, and you have given me nothing at all yet. What are you saying? Oh, I won't repeat that on there. Yeah, she said. I thought she said money. She said a different word. Yeah, go ahead. Now, meanwhile, the other 47% of Democrats that are being in this poll, they're thinking to themselves, well, yeah, dude, I love confirmation bias just as much as the next person. I want this to be true. And regardless of the fact, even if it isn't true, I go back yet one more time. This is the second time I made this point today. I'm probably going to make it 10 more times because I need to. For those 47% of Democrats, if you don't think this is a witch hunt, then that reasonably implies, not even reasonably, it necessarily implies, that you believe that there is something substantial here. And if you believe there is something substantial here, hey, caller 2, not Ray, but caller 2, you can hear me now. Hang on. Roz had to step out for just literally 2 seconds. She's going to get your screen here in just a second. For those other 47% of Democrats that think that there is something substantial going on here, what do you think that is? You would have to think that it's premised upon something dealing with Russian collusion, right? I mean, obviously it would have to be. I don't even have to ask right. Because we're all at least on the same page now that Robert Mueller was appointed rather, to look into Russia collusion. So those 47% of Democrats believe that there's something collusion. Now, here's the other thing that I'll follow up on one more time. If you believe that, Democrats, what in the world is Robert Mueller doing dragging his feet for close to 3 years now? Why? Why? Do you appreciate that Robert Mueller has substantial evidence that Russia is squashing down Trump underneath the Russian thumb and doing nothing about it? Do you like the idea that every single time Trump goes to meet with Putin in these backdoor rooms that they're not giving us the transcript interpretation, what's really going on in your mind is that Putin's telling Trump, oh, President Trump, you must do everything I say. It's a great Russian accent right there, I know. Because Trump is, after all, Putin's little lap boy, right? I have 3 pins in this studio to tell me that. I bought them right out in front of Trump Towers. $7 a piece, that's right. All 3 of these pins are telling me that Trump is Putin's little lapdog. I mean, that's after all, that's what Mueller's going to show us, right? And yeah, I mean, Mueller, unless Mueller just found this information out yesterday, it means he had to have it sometime prior to yesterday. And a lot of Democrats believe he probably had this on day one. So what in the world is he doing dragging his feet? What kind of constitutional charge is that? How are you going to justify to me as a Republican, or even to your own Democrat base later on? Well, yeah, look, Robert Mueller knew this on day 32. But for the other 2.5 years, the other 2 years and 11 months, what he was really doing is, I don't know. What was he doing? Wasting time? Letting Putin get away with this stuff? It doesn't make sense. And then finally, the 3% of remaining Democrats. And now, this is not disclosed, the 50, 47, 3%. That breakup is not disclosed. But how else can you interpret this? For the other 3% of people that seem to be reasonable in this, I would assume, although I think I'm comfortable in presuming, I would presume that those are probably Democrats with PhDs that are thinking to themselves, okay, I need something more than just the word of some random Yahoo somewhere. So let me wait for at least a couple. I'll give it another 6 months if I have to. That's just the polling data. I haven't even told you yet what's supposed to be in and be out of this thing. And then Bloomberg's got a great opinion on this. Mueller owes the country some answers here. I think he's right. Hey, let's go to Ray. He's been hanging on for a minute there. Roz typed in Mueller literally as it's spelled, like a tooth. Mueller. That's awesome. Ray, what's on your mind, buddy?
This ought to be put up to facts Thursday, because the conspiracy of a witch hunt is probably just something for cannon fodder for the news, and it's something to distract us. But if we looked at the facts of the investigation, isn't only ex-Clinton friends and workmates getting hit? And
it's interesting you say that, because I have a clip pulled up from Laura Ingram's show yesterday, where she had Ken Starr and Ken Starr's right-hand man, I forget the guy's name now. They had both of them on, and they made that exact point that you're making, Ray. Is they said, look, back in, what was it, 98, 7? Don't quote me. Anyways, 96, 90, whatever it was for Clinton's thing, they said, we made a specific point to hire Democrats or Democrat-leaning individuals so that there would be no misconception as to what it is we're doing behind the scenes here. And they actually made the point exactly like you're making right now. Mueller did not do that. He has no problem about just hiring straight-up old-school Clinton people.
Right. And that... And the people that are hit, Manafort, Cohen, probably even Roger Stone's got Clinton ties somewhere. When you turn against the Clinton family, this witch hunt is just a headline news to draw the distraction away that you are not supposed to leave the Democrat plantation.
Well, again, maybe it's worth repeating one more time, Ray, but here's where Mueller's coming from. And a lot of people, I guess, don't know this because it's been such a long time. I'll tell you one more time. Okay, let's put it this way, okay? Way back, what was it, 2002 to about 2005 on into 2006, there was an investigation going on into the Clinton Foundation, okay? The Clinton Foundation had a problem because Uranium One was going down. And for two solid years, the Clinton Foundation had no disclosures at all as to where they were getting their donations from. And then all of a sudden, after 2 years of no disclosures at all, anywhere from $250 million to $300 million just shows up in their foundation. So somebody got the bright idea to investigate this. Now, here's what's going on. Who was the head of the FBI when that investigation was assigned to the FBI? Robert Mueller. Yes, this very same Robert Mueller. Who was the FBI lead agent that was involved in looking into this? James Comey. Yes, that James Comey, former FBI Director James Comey. One more connection. Again, for the people who've already heard it, it's going to sound like a broken record. For those who haven't, we need to know this. Who was the head of the tax division for the Department of Justice at the time that was meant to all this go down? Now get this. Robert Mueller, the head of the FBI, James Comey, the FBI agent that was in charge of looking into this Uranium One, this investigation as to where this lack of disclosure came from. What do you do when you're trying to figure out where money goes to? You need a paper trail. Who do you go to? You go to the IRS to see if that paper trail's been established. Who was the head of the tax division of the DOJ? Rod Rosenstein. They're all the same players. It's the exact same people. Ray, I'll give you the last couple minutes here, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah, that being a Democrat, if you leave the plantation, you will be hunted. That's it. And one quick note, a report on the Boeing flight I heard it on Fox News. Boeing is going back and putting new software in all the planes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you knew they had to do something, man. I actually heard, too, that, man, what I read the other day, that there might have been something wrong with the software as well. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But, yeah. Boeing's got some stuff to answer for, man. Their stocks are going to take some serious hits, too.
Absolutely. That artificial intelligence, I'm finding out, for every artificial intelligent robot, it takes 3 humans to keep it in control.
Oh, Skynet, bro. We're getting taken over. Ray, I appreciate the call, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, there goes Ray. 7:53 in the morning. Hit this break. Be right back.
Yeah, that's the truth, Bob. I don't know how y'all feel about Seth Rich, but I don't know, man. There's strange situations that people die in. Bob Bell, 5 Toyotas. Who is this in the phone? Oh, okay. Dang, Jeff. Jeff giving me some research. Seven, 56 in the morning.
Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. Is that the Terminator music or something? Yeah. That's the new one, though, isn't it? Christian Bale blew up on that.
It's the new Skynet.
Oh, that's right, yeah. That's the one where Christian Bale blew up on that stage hand person. You ever hear that clip?
No.
Have you not?
No, I didn't even watch the newer one. What happened?
You should look it up in the break. I don't know. Christian Bale's in the middle of shooting some scene, and some tech comes behind there and tries to mess with some lighting or, I don't know, some background pop or something, and just goes off. I mean, just like...
Christian Bale goes off on
Yeah, just loses his mind. I mean, we can't play any of it on air because he messed up the shot and...
Wow.
It was bad.
He's so gorgeous. I know he's wrapped up in a whole bunch of bad stuff too, and he's so gorgeous, and it's really upsetting.
Christian Bale is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. I mean, since Newsies. You remember Newsies?
Yeah.
The Disney Channel?
Yeah. See, the first,
like such a good movie.
The first time I was ever really exposed to the Christian Bale as we know him now, the actor Christian Bale was American Psycho, and I can't see him in any other role. Even as Batman now, I still see American Psycho.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I never watched that one because I didn't want it.
Did you not?
To be tainted for me.
Oh man, yeah,
so I never watched that one.
Yeah, American Psycho is a great movie.
I saw like clips and stuff, and he just looked creepy.
Yeah, well, I won't say American Psycho is a great movie. It's a movie that's not meant for most people, that's true, but it's just a really, really interesting story. And even the end right now, I've heard explained in about 15 different ways. I've even heard the ending from the author, and I still don't quite understand what the ending means in that movie. Facebook, help me out what the end of that movie means. Hey, let me say this on the way out here, too. This is coming from Bloomberg Opinion. Of course, the big thing everybody is waiting on is a report from Special Counsel Mueller, who's been investigating Russian interference in the 2016 election. It's not clear what the report will be like. One interpretation some experts favor is that Mueller has already written his report in the form of indictments and other public statements, and in fact, the combined force of those disclosures has already been pretty devastating for the president. But there are signs that there's more to come, and for every hint that Mueller is ready to wrap up, there's another that he still has plenty of work to do. So if it is true, like Bloomberg Opinion says, that most of what Mueller knows has already come by way of public indictments, then there's not exactly anything too damaging going on right now. And I'm trying to be as objective as I can possibly about this, because if Trump did something bad, I want that man to go down. I want him to go down hard. I just need some reason to take him down. 7:58, stick around for news, traffic, weather, all that. Be back with a fantastic guest talking about this story here. Rahera's leaving successor with formidable to-do list. Going to be fantastic. Check it out, knoxtntoday.com, knoxtntoday.com. Be right back.
Facebook, I'm going to leave y'all with the audio from the commercials. Unfortunately, if our guest comes in here, I don't want to freak him out with our normal content. You guys are awesome, though. I'll talk to you soon.
TN Connect Credit Union is the oldest credit union in Tennessee, and they still hold tightly to the same credit union community values and financial responsibility that they always have. TN Connect Credit Union still connects you with free checking accounts with rewards, emergency fund high-yield savings accounts, and TN Connect Credit Union connects you to the best in modern convenience with comprehensive digital and mobile services. TN Connect Credit Union, connecting you to your new car, a new home, saving for college, saving for retirement, connecting you with financial solutions with local hometown personal service that's safe, secure, and federally insured. TN Connect Credit Union is located at 6211 Middlebrook Pike in Knoxville. Online at tnconnectcu.org or connect by phone at 865-688-2424. Keeping you connected to your money. TN Connect Credit Union.
Boeing and the FAA under even more scrutiny. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As the investigations ramp up following the two deadly crashes of Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets now grounded around the world.
The Justice Department sent out subpoenas to gather information on how this plane was even developed. So right now, investigators are focusing on the flight control software and the pilot training portion of this. At the same time, the FBI is joining the criminal investigation into the FAA's certification of the safety of those planes.
Fox's Aisha Hasni. There will also be a hearing next week at the Senate. It's Friday already in New Zealand, where a new gun ban's going into effect after last week's massacres in two Christchurch mosques. Fox's Simon Owen monitoring live from London.
Dave, New Zealand's Prime Minister saying the country's history changed forever last Friday, and now its gun laws will too. Jacinda Ardern announcing a ban on what she called military-style semi-automatic weapons, along with assault rifles and high-capacity magazines.
I absolutely believe there will be a common view amongst New Zealanders that the time for the mass and easy availability of these weapons must end.
She said anyone who already owns an affected weapon will be required to surrender it and will be compensated by the government. Dave?
Simon, prosecutors in the Netherlands say they plan to charge the suspect in the deadly shooting on a tram in Utrecht with murder or manslaughter with terrorist intent. President Trump keeps up the attacks on the late Senator John McCain, including saying he never got a thank you for agreeing not to show up at the funeral.
President Trump spent about 5 minutes during an event in Ohio talking about the late Senator John McCain.
So I have to be honest, I've never liked them much.
The president complained about the Arizona Republicans' vote on health care law repeal and his reported role in the controversial Russian dossier.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Several Republican senators say the president's gone too far. Lindsey Graham says he hurts himself more than he hurts McCain's legacy. This is Fox News.
When you fire up a John Deere 1 Series tractor, you can tackle the job without wrestling the attachments. Hook up everything from a front loader to a drive-over mower deck in no time, so you can haul gravel, cut grass, or do any job in between. Because when things just click, work just gets done. And now get a 1 Series for just $99 a month at your nearest participating John Deere dealer. Nothing runs like a Deere. Run with us. Search John Deere 1 Series for more. 0% annual percentage rate. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology actively invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you, the needle in the haystack.
Try ZipRecruiter now for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Stout-Brown with a local news update on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. It has now been 10 days since human remains were discovered on the shore of Douglas Lake in a plastic bag. Still, the identity of the victim remains a mystery. The TBI is joining the investigation alongside authorities in Jefferson County. They have released more details about the clothing found in the bag, hoping it will be familiar to someone. A black Walking Dead t-shirt, a leather belt with an eagle pattern and the name Gerald imprinted on it, a belt buckle with a horse and a horseshoe. If you have information that might help investigators, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Knoxville is now the second city in Tennessee to offer scooter rentals. Nashville was the first. Yesterday was the soft launch for the one-year pilot program. There were a few snags, but the scooters should be back in service today. They go about 15 miles an hour. Lifeway Christian Resources has announced it is closing all its stores. Sales are being transitioned to a store that is all digital. There is one Lifeway store in Knoxville. It's in Turkey Creek, and it serves a multi-county area as a source not only for Christian books and gifts, but an exclusive dealer of materials designed specifically for Southern Baptist churches and their programs. Lifeway isn't giving a specific date for closing specific stores, but expects all its brick-and-mortar locations to be shut down by the end of this year. And now you're up to date. I'm Tanya Stout-Brown on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Knoxville's talk you can trust.
Here's a news flash from Dayton Hilton of Dayton's Pest Control.
Have moved into this area, but don't worry, Dayton's is ready to help.
I hear that Dayton's is one of 2 bedbug-free trained companies in the state.
We are.
Dayton, please explain what your bedbug treatment entails.
Well, first, don't throw your bed, mattress, box springs, or couch away. And we don't require any prep to your house prior to arrival.
If you suspect you have bedbugs, call Dayton's at 588-6686 for an inspection and estimate. Dayton's reputation is your guarantee of quality.
The Lars Larson Show.
Hey, Knoxville, it's Lars Larson. Nancy Pelosi is supposed to be running the House of Representatives, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appears to be running the House of Representatives, and she continues to be the gift that just keeps on giving. Conservatives love the fact that the newest, most high-profile member of Congress is almost guaranteed on a daily basis to say something foolish. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appears to be running the House of Representatives, and she continues to be the gift that just keeps on giving. Conservatives love the fact that the newest, most high-profile member of Congress is almost guaranteed on a daily basis to say something foolish. Weeknights at 7 on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Weather from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers in the area for your Thursday. It looks like there could be some mountain snow showers as we get into your Thursday night. High temperatures in the valley, mid-50s, and we should be in the upper 50s on Friday afternoon. More sunshine with highs well into the 60s both Saturday and Sunday before another chance for showers and scattered storms early next week. Check out Ripley's Aquarium in the Smokies. Their new Savage Seas exhibit at Ripley's Aquarium in the Smokies, open daily. From the 6th Storm Team, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Hinkin for the East Tennessee Weather Network.
It's 45 at Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
This traffic report is brought to you by the United States Air Force. Make a living with a career. Has more than 200 career options. Airforce.com.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
There's a big 3-car crash. Hardin Valley Road and Saltway Road, just west of Pella City Parkway. It's a mess right there. Sheriff's Department doing the best to get it cleared as quickly as possible. Look for some debris in the road. The lanes reopened on Cherokee Trail near the entrance to UT Hospital. Had an overturned vehicle. And again, a real challenge at times. Alcoa Highway construction near Maloney Road. Drone adventure, self-defense, robotic classes, and more for the Kids U Summer Camps at UT. Call 974-0150 for details.
Spin it again.
It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena.
You know what, I've heard people call, and I kind of like the era that we're in, the post-truth kind of era.
And lately there's been a lot of coverage in the real news about the growing and booming business of creating fake news.
Well, I don't know, maybe he was watching CNN fake news. What do you think?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Let us return to the fight. This battle is far from over.
8:08 in the morning. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Radio 92.3 FM and AM 760. Don't forget about that AM 760. This is real news. We are broadcasting live from the FMT Insurance Studios. Crown Plaza call number. Hold off on that for at least the next 2 seconds. Actually, maybe not hold off on that. It might bring up some good conversation. That number is 865-888-TALK. That's 865-888-8255. I say that because we're getting a little bit local right now for probably the next half hour, next 2 segments. Joined right now by, sir, tell me last name. Is it Cagle or Cagle? Cagle, that's what I thought. Okay, Frank Cagle is a former columnist for the Metropole. He's an avowed libertarian. Also former News Sentinel managing editor and aide to Victor Ashe when he was mayor of Knoxville. He now writes for KnoxTNToday.com. Brought him on to talk about a couple stories here. This headline from, again, KnoxTNToday.com. That's KnoxTNToday.com. Headline here, Rahera's leaving successor with formidable to-do list. And if we have time for it, I also want to get into this headline published on March 12th at KnoxTNToday.com. Republicans split on fetal heart bill could have some very lasting ramifications if and when this inevitably goes to court. Let me start here, sir, just by asking, before we really get into the minutia of what this headline, Rahera's leaving successor with formidable to-do list, I kind of want to lay some groundwork for what really goes on, the disparity between the county government and the city government. I think most that are in the know would venture to say, and this is a fairly asinine introductory question, but is it true that the city tends to lean hard Democrat and the county tends to lean hard Republican?
Well, yeah, I think it's fairly clear from the election results when you have Bill Bredesen carrying Knoxville and Marshall Blackburn carrying the county as a whole. I think a lot of it has to do with the suburbs generally in Tennessee, whether you're going to talk about Nashville or Memphis or Knoxville. The suburbs tend to be conservative. They tend to be Republicans. And the inner cities, and most of the inner cities in the big four cities are liberal, or they vote Democrat anyway. And the more and more people that move downtown reach a point where Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga will vote Democratic, and the rest of the counties in the state will vote Republican. And if Marshall Blackburn had not had a huge turnout in these rural counties, she would not have won that race.
Were you surprised at all about the how much she won by? And I only asked.
I predicted she would win. She had a little higher margin than I thought.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But I just thought the Kavanaugh was real doomed.
Yes.
They wasted $95 million on these ads.
That's the truth,
Everybody
right?
made up their mind on the Kavanaugh thing when they looked at that and they said, one vote matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, Fox News is the most popular cable station in Tennessee. So
well, look,
they got news from there, and they turned out. I mean, I could see Blackman winning because I looked up in Granger County and in Claiborne County, these rural counties up there, and the early vote totals were just huge. Well, people in those counties are not turning out early to vote for Bredesen.
Right.
Or any Democrat. So that told me that there was a pretty good surge for Marcia in these rural counties.
And speaking about Democrats turning out here, the first paragraph here, by the way, about the fourth or fifth paragraph down says the things that we need to look forward to for the next mayor handling. The third or fourth paragraph starts with Recode Knoxville, a revamp of city zoning laws has been in the works for some time. I just want to tease that right now for our audience, sir, just so you know, Frank, the Recode Knoxville is something my audience has been on for about 6 months now that they have just been livid, losing their minds. So we'll get to that here in just a second. But
well, I guess you have an alert and an intelligent audience because I haven't seen a lot of coverage in the daily newspaper. I haven't seen very much interest in a lot of places.
Well, you know what? Forget that. Let's dive into it right now.
I mean, they've had public hearings.
They have.
But the same little group shows up.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. And look, Triple H finally covered this. I just said his name. I said I wasn't going to say. Whatever. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. Triple H finally covered this about a week ago, and it took him up until about a week ago to finally start covering this. Now, we've touched this 6 months ago, Roz. We started talking about this, 5, something like that. Now, to be honest with you, sir, and with my audience, I knew almost nothing about it, very little about it before one of our producers, Richard Sparza, brought Nick Delavope in, I think, first, and a few other
Nick has
around.
done yeoman work on this.
Yeah.
He writes for Knox 10 Today, my favorite news website, and he alone pretty much has explained the ins and outs of a lot of these provisions in there that you just can't get anywhere else.
Well, the paragraph here says Recode Knoxville, revamping of city zoning laws has been in the works for some time and is scheduled to be in place when the new administration takes office. The plan has been the subject of public hearings over and over and revamped several times. Property owners should be well informed, but we know that once provisions are in place, some people will still be surprised when a neighbor puts a granny cabin in the backyard. As all hell may break loose, should Recode be put on hold until the new mayor and council take a look at this? And let me preface this question by saying, we have been given some information that in about the 11th hour, I want to say October 30-something of last year, they passed an ordinance that said you do not have to give full public notice for a comprehensive reformation, right? Meaning that you don't actually have to send out mailers. We just have to put the notice and say the Knoxville News Sentinel. Now, if you're not reading the entirety of the Knoxville News Sentinel, you don't know about this. So you're right. It's the same 1% of people that show up to those meetings, even though they've had 40, 50, 60 of them. Do you think there's ever going to be a situation by which this would be pushed off to an election issue?
I don't know. I think the city has said that they're going to try to send a letter out to each property owner in the city.
They have actually, as of February,
explaining what it is. If you're like most of us, you probably threw it in the trash as junk mail.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been in journalism for 50 years now, and it's inevitable. Anytime there's a big to do and it's hard and it's complicated, people just don't want to hear about it. And then something happens which affects them, and all of a sudden they're like, what happened? You know?
Yeah, and then it's too late after the fact.
Yeah.
Hey, Roz, can you hear me? Can you give me till about 20 or 21 so I can give JB enough time to ask this question? JB, let's bring you on here. Got a question for Frank. Frank, this is JB. JB, this is Frank. Maybe y'all know each other. I'm not sure. JB, what's your question for Frank?
Is this the JB?
Yes, sir. People don't realize that Frank has been around here longer than 3 rocks in Knox County. He's the guy. This guy documented Davy Crockett's first trip to Congress. He wrote the story about it.
I was a Jacksonian. I didn't care much for Davy.
That's right. Also, Frank is a horseman, so he's got to be a good guy if he likes horses.
Yeah, well, the shape of my health these days, I'm not riding a whole lot, but I still like them.
Yeah, the horses are great, though. Frank, your work on Knox 10 Today and many others, these kids don't, and I say this, I'm old, I call it bad. These kids don't realize the work you've done over many years. So thank you Thank Betty Bean.
Well, I remember the days when I had a daily radio show, and you used to call in and enlighten the public about every day.
That was before I got the restraining order, Frank. But I want to thank Betty Bean and Sandra Clark and you and Nick Della Volpe has become a very he's still a lawyer, but he's done really good work on this RICO thing. Frank, you've been around a long time, and I think that John Shirley talked about unintended consequences of this thing. And Mr. Shirley does a lot of development. He says that often you open Pandora's box and you find out about it later. And there could be some Pandora's box if the city council approves this thing. Now, they haven't done proper notification. They haven't really been honest with the people of the city. They haven't told the truth. And one thing that bothers me is and you may say politicians always do that. As for Ms. Rogero, and it's interesting to me that she is prepared. They're prepared to move and perhaps change the zoning of every parcel in the city, and so people won't really know what's going to happen until they approve this thing. It's kind of like Nancy Pelosi said, "Let them pass this thing to see what happens." So there's going to be a lot of unhappy people when the reevaluation of tax rules go in 2022. That's when it's going to happen again, and we can prevent that by having more openness here and more dialogue now. Let's really get to the bottom of this thing.
Well,
yes, sir.
The devil's in the details with it, of course. But
you call me a devil? I am. Go ahead.
But just from a philosophical point of view, the planners from Europe to major cities in the United States, they have a general feeling. If you go to England or you go to Germany, what you find is that people are crammed up in neighborhoods and apartment complexes, and then you go out and you see all this one green space out in the country where there's nobody.
Nobody lives anymore.
But that's the idea, that you have density, you have your population trapped in the city, and you get bus lines and you do away with cars and you have sidewalks and bicycles and buses, and that's a planner's dream. And but we tend to like acre lots out in the country with a lot of green space and 4 cars in a truck. There's a basic split between what people want and what they think is good for us.
And Frank, let me ask you here. So as a follow-up for the scenario that you just described, it seems like it's somewhat of an inevitability that every single time that changes, when you densify a city like that, again, inevitably the voting demographic changes. Now, I don't know if you want to comment on potentially on the motivation behind the city council to change something like this, but do you think they're aware that, yes, frankly speaking, if we implement this plan, it will change the voting demographic?
I think what's going to change is there's a demographic problem with young people because of student loans and various other things. They aren't able to buy houses right away the way some of us did when we got out of college. And the houses that are being built out in the suburbs, they can't afford them. I mean, if you're going to go out there and develop a green space and put in sidewalks and sewer and all that, the house is going to be selling for a lot more than you can afford if you're a young couple. So the city has a lot of what we used to call starter homes, a little 2-bedroom cottage or whatever, and you buy that and you get some equity, and then maybe later on you sell it and get a bigger house. But what that happens is you concentrate your young people in the city, and they tend to vote more Democrat because they're young people are generally more liberal, and older people tend to be conservative and vote for Republicans. So that changes the voting demographic, just the economic forces.
JB, we got a minute or two left here before Roz is going to force me to hit this break. I'll let you have the final follow-up question here if you want.
Frank, I'm glad to have you here. Would you ask Nick Della Volpe if he'll get out of his cave and come and be on the radio again? And Frank, I want to ask you that if they increase density, that means increase in taxes. So when you increase taxes, you also increase costs for schools, costs for the health department, costs for emergency services, costs for infrastructure. KUB bills go up, sewer line and reconstruction goes up for all this rebuilding they're going to do. Now, this is coming down the pike. If the city's spending all the money for this stuff and the taxpayers are on the hook for taxes and for KUB bills and sewer lines, and ADA. By the way, ADA remediation is going on in the county right now, $73 million over 40 years. Why doesn't the city show us studies about the increase in taxes, about the increase in KUB, about the increase in cost for schools? Could be $30 or $40 million in the school budget. Could be the health department. Could be all these things. They haven't done anything about that. They're not telling us the truth about what might happen. And you've got to look at these studies. Look at these. And do you think they're being disingenuous by ignoring these obvious impacts on the city and the county before they decide they want to finish this thing?
No, I think they honestly believe that they're doing the right thing. They're doing what is they see as philosophically important.
Important. It's what they want. Is it what we want?
They, because of climate change, they want to limit the number of cars, and so to do that, you get people living in apartment complexes and walking to work. And
are you going to get a Granny Flat and ride a tricycle to work, Frank?
I've got one horse left. I guess I can keep it.
I think we should save our property rights and save our right to live anywhere we damn well want to. Don't impose it. Convince us. Don't try to impose it. Frank, you're an absolute asset to the community. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, JB. We appreciate the call. Roz, we've got to hit this break right now. Hey, look, if Alexander Cortez was interviewing Frank right now, she might have a problem with the horse flatulence. You know what I mean? That could cause some global warming. We're not considering.
Well, all I can say is it does exist.
Spoken from a man that knows. That's true. Hey, we got to hit this break right now. Stick around. I'm going to come back and we're going to ask Frank some questions about the Tenovas giving the city a white elephant in the former St. Mary's Hospital. Also got to ask about the Smokies baseball stadium, where that might end up if we have enough time for all this. And Lamar attacked 8:23 in the morning. I'm going to see how long I can keep this individual in the studio with us. We'll be right back.
I really appreciate you joining us this morning. Obviously our audience loves local stuff, but I don't know, you've been in journalism for quite some time. I'm fairly new to this. I actually graduated from law school just a couple years back and sort of fell backwards into this gig here. I just love talking about politics, have aspirations to want to run for office myself one day. But man, I've come to find that it seems like a lot of local outlets, they really don't push the envelope too much. They don't ask the questions that need to be asked, and if they do, they get a lot of backlash for it and tend to stand down, which I think is why people don't talk about the recode stuff. Or we had Matlock on the program one time, and people were saying all kind of defamatory, salacious stuff about him hiring people to stalk Tim Burchett at his house, and hiring Sheriff Hutchinson to bring up expunged records from Burchett's stepson, and all this stuff was circulating around. Nobody was printing it, but everybody was talking about it. So I brought Matlock on to ask him those questions, and I thought I was doing him a favor. If someone was dragging my name through the mud, I would appreciate someone having me an opportunity to speak publicly and just dispel all those rumors. Well, he thought it was the most antagonistic interview he's ever had. I thought I was being extremely cordial the entire time, but after the interview, I realized that's just not how you handle it. That's not what you do in this area.
His personality is such, he would want somebody else really very well. He doesn't have the courage to stand there and say things.
By the way, how much time do we have with you? I want to be respectful of your time. We have to go out at 8:30. We'll be back. We only have a minute or two left in this next segment. Could I do maybe one more segment with you till 45, 48, something like that? Okay, I appreciate that, by the way. Because I know a lot of people are concerned about the stadium. From the stuff I'm hearing, it seems like the Smokies are kind of desperate to get in here. Is that similar to what you've been hearing too, or?
I don't know if it's the Smokies so much as it is the city's trying to entice them.
Gotcha.
And they're looking at, well, what we'll do is we'll build condos around the stadium, like they do in some of the major cities, and we'll have retail down the old stadium next to it. So
gotcha.
It's seen as more of a development project, and I think the game is sort of an afterthought. And if you can do all that, I just don't see how you get people to come down to the old city to watch 70 baseball games a year.
Right.
They do pretty well out there. They got tourists and they're on an interstate exit.
Right.
It's easy to get to. They're doing fine.
I suppose there's already been proposed sites as to where they want to build the stadium itself?
Yeah, I'd see the old Knox salvage property that
Okay.
Randy Boyd bought.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's just east of the other city.
Okay. Wow. All right. That makes sense. And then again, if we have time, that Sonova stuff, I'm sure people have a big concern about. Do you think there's any possibility at all? I know there's, I forget his name. Who's the Republican that's running right now, or at least announced that he's probably going to run? Yeah. You think he has any chance at all?
I think he wins.
Really?
No, you're not talking about Mike Chase.
I don't think so. No, Ed Min is one of those.
Calvin is all the.
No, that's not what I'm talking about now.
Eddie Minus Prestige Cleaners.
Yeah, that guy, right.
Does the honorary stuff.
Yeah.
I think he'll win.
Interesting. He is Republican, though, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
He's the only Republican in the race.
Okay.
Let's see if a Republican can win. We'll see if a Republican can win in the city.
Would you be comfortable with me asking that on air?
Okay.
Okay. Hey, it's 8:27 in the morning. That's 8:27. There's an A in front of that.
That's how you know it's. Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. I was just asking our guest right now, Frank Cagle, off air. Hold on, let me sing the bio here one more time, real quick. What are you doing? What are you doing? I lost it. Yep. Either way, I'll find it again here in a second. Sorry, sir. Just go to knoxtntoday.com. The headline we're talking about right now is Rojero's leaving successor with formidable to-do list. I was asking him off air. We have an election coming up here fairly soon. I was asking our guest, what do you think about the possibility of a Republican actually winning this race? Eddie might have a chance, may not have a chance. He gave me an interesting response. What do you think about that?
Well, I think Eddie Manus has the support of a lot of the business community, and he's very organized, and he's doing a good job. He's got really he did these honor air flights, and I went on one of them. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and they were the most organized thing. You can imagine, 100 ailing, health challenged group like us, but they got us up to Washington, got us in all the monuments, got us back and all that stuff, and everything just ran like clockwork from the Washington police escorts of the buses, whatever. Anyway, my point is, he's a very organized person, and he's got a very organized campaign. And I think it's maybe the Republicans will pay attention this time. The last two elections, they elected Madeline Rojero, who's a Democrat. And the Republicans, after Victor Ashe and Bill Haslam, there didn't seem to be a Republican that wanted to run. Madeline sort of, having run against Haslam and then working for him, she was sort of the front runner going in, and there wasn't any big Republican candidate that wanted to challenge her. So she won. And but I think the Republicans may decide this time to turn out and vote. And it's a nonpartisan election theoretically. Right. So and I think Manus will get a lot of Democrat votes as well. Nina Kincannon and Marshall Stair they're nice people, but I just don't know that they have the. If Nina Kincannon has the support of the Rojero people, she may wind up in the runoff.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, sir, I don't want to speak too much in platitudes here. I know that tends to be a tendency that media folk rely upon here, but you said you were a Vietnam vet, and honestly, sir, I can't thank you enough for your service. I'm vulnerable and honest enough with my audience to tell people that I am not the kind of guy that would be willing to do what you did. You put a gun in my hands, and I'm telling you, sir, I'd probably run the opposite direction. So without your sacrifice, I literally would not be able to sit in front of this microphone and spew my dogma all over the mic every single day and pontificate, and for some reason have people listen to me. So you're a better man than I am. So I appreciate what you do.
Yeah, well, I do remember back in the 70s when I came home that Vietnam veterans are about as popular as venereal disease.
I know it. I'm telling you. Hey, it's 8:31 right now. We got to hit this break. Stick around, though. Frank said he's going to give us at least one more segment. I'm going to come back asking about the Tanovo debacle that's going on. I also want to ask him about the Smokies baseball stadium and really pose the question as to who's really leading this negotiation. Is the Smokies that want to come here? Is that the city wants to bring the Smokies here? And then we'll finish out with Stimpy's call if we have time for that. Be right back.
I enjoyed radio, but I have trouble sleeping these days. It's hard to get up early.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
I finally get to sleep about 4 o'clock, you know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of people think it's a. I think. Hang on a sec. She's trying to tell me something. I'll check in a second. Anyways, a lot of people think it's a dying medium, but I really don't think it is. The newer just question for Frank.
Next, a belt buckle with an image of a horse and horseshoe. And
Where'd it go?
I don't know. Just this question for Frank.
Okay, that was weird. I just wrote you a whole thing. I just said walk lightly.
With Stimpy?
No, the Smokies thing.
Oh, no, I'm not making any. I just want to know.
Okay, I don't know where you're going or what's going on or what you guys are going to talk about. So.
Oh.
Just because you know.
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, I understand.
Phil to get.
Anyways, but a lot of people think it's a dying medium, but I. What?
We sold Michaela's segment.
Oh, really? All right.
And then celebrate.
How much of that am I getting? You know what I mean?
0.3 and AM 760.
But people in my generation, everything is all podcast driven now, but it's really interesting to see how this whole medium has shifted. A guy like Ben Shapiro, for example, he started out with just a pure podcast. It's the most listened to conservative podcast in the nation right now. He has about as many listeners, not as much, but about as many as Rush Limbaugh does on the terrestrial side. Well, he took that podcast and he was running it on Facebook Live. That little black thing right there, by the way, is my Facebook Live camera. We're actually running Facebook Live right now. He does YouTube, he does Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, all the other nonsense. And each one of these little mediums is an avenue by which you can monetize a little bit here, you can monetize a little bit there, you can monetize a little bit here. He took this whole package and then resold it back into terrestrial radio. So he didn't start with terrestrial, he started with podcasting and moved back into terrestrial. So I don't know, a lot of people want to say it's a dying medium, but at the same time, I think it's just looking for a resurgence, you know?
The problem with radio is the same problem that newspapers have. There's been such consolidation, big companies own them, and they're on the stock market, and they got to drive the share price. And a local owner might, if there's a little dip in the recession or whatever, they may eat the, whatever. But the corporate response is start laying people off and cutting expenses.
Yeah.
I had I don't want to talk about this on the air, but I had 122 full-time employees when I was managing editor for the News Sentinel. If they have 40 now, I'd be surprised.
Oh, wow. Man. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be where it's going, though, you know? I mean, I follow people on YouTube that if I told you some of their names, I don't know, maybe 10%, 15% of the country would know this guy. Philip DeFranco, for example, the guy that I name all the time. He's just some random kid. He's 34 years old. He has a YouTube channel. He's got about 50 employees right now. But he just puts together little 15-minute vignettes of what the news is of the day and gives his commentary. But he gets on average about 2.5 million to 3 million views per video.
My kids listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan is the most listened to podcast in the nation.
Yeah. And
Joe Rogan's an interesting thing too, because it's
no, Clay Travis.
Clay Travis, another one too, yeah.
I read Clay Travis' website every day.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's changing though. You're right. I think I think some of the big names, the drive-bys, as Rush calls them, I'm not sure they know what to do with it anymore. Because when you get a guy like a Joe Rogan or Philip DeFranco, when they're pulling as much numbers as Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, you know, and they don't have corporate control over them, it's a tough game to play. It really is. When Fox News is pushing the same numbers as these little individual people are just on YouTube alone, it's changed the entire marketplace as far as I'm concerned. I don't know for better or for worse, but it's at least just interesting to consider, you know?
Yeah. There's a good deal of business for Amazon, but just if I want to start a blog and start talking about Rico and baseball stadiums and whatever, I'd probably get a lot of listeners here in Knoxville, but you're not getting the advertising.
Right, I know.
You can't sell it.
Ben's a good guy. He's been on this program a couple times, and definitely knows this stuff for sure. But no, I understand what you're saying. It's, unless you're going to grind 50 hours a week to find advertisers, or I don't know, what are you going to find, politicians or something? I don't know. It's a similar problem we're having here, but.
Yeah.
8:37 in the morning. Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Henry, host of this program entitled Real News. I'm going to do my best to get through a couple more questions. Then we're going to go to Stimpy and maybe whoever is on the other Crown Plaza call number. We're joined right now by Frank Kangel. Let's see, columnist for the Metro Pulse. He's Nevada Libertarian. Also former News Sentinel managing editor and aide to Victor Ashe when he was mayor. Now writes for KnoxTNtoday.com. Here's a couple other headlines you may want to check out. Let's see, we're obviously talking about right now Rahera's leaving successor with formidable to-do list. Also interesting article here published on March 12th. Republicans split on fetal heart bill. Another one, a voucher by any other name smells as bad. Let's see, Civilian Review Board benefits community officers. All this stuff you can find at KnoxTNtoday.com. I'll actually post this on our Facebook site as well, too, so we can have a few people follow. Let me come back into this. We just left by our guest saying that, yes, it's look, a Republican stands a likely chance of possibly winning the next city mayor position. With that being said, how do you think this will influence what's going to happen with this Tim Novo situation? I'll just read a portion of this paragraph here. Again, headline being Rahera's leaving successor with formidable to-do list. Novo is giving the city a white elephant in the former St. Mary's Hospital, old hospital site, to be repurposed to house the headquarters for police and fire departments. City's planning to tear down the current safety building to make the site available for Science Museum. Goes on to explain a little bit more. How do you think that's going to play out over the next season here?
Well, I think this is being driven by Jim Clayton wants to contribute the money to build a science museum. And so the question comes up, where do you build it? Where do you put it? And they decided that the best place to put it is where the police department is. It's over behind the Civic Coliseum. It's near the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. So the plan would be to tear down there and build a museum. Well, what are you going to do with the cops?
Right.
And the headquarters for the fire department. Tanovo wanted out from under the old St. Mary's. They're giving it to the city, for free. And then they're getting, in return, tax credits. And they're going to build a facility out on Middlebrook Pike. So that building is notorious. I mean, it's been patched and added on and put together. There was a hilarious column in the News Sentinel. There was a letter to editor some years ago. The guy says he got lost at St. Mary's and he met Elvis and he found Jimmy Hoffa's body and he just goes on and on.
Found the door to Narnia or something.
Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome.
And but that's I've been there on a couple of occasions and it was not easy to find where you were supposed to be. But anyway, and with an old building like that, part of it's really old and part of it's barely even added on to and all that. And it's behind Fulton High School up on a 2-lane street off Broadway. And it doesn't seem to me to be a good place to be trying to run police cars back and forth or to, where when a shift changes, where do they park all the cars? I mean, there's a parking deck. But anyway, the point is, it's a very complex issue to tear that building, part of it down, to remodel it, to tear down the safety building, where the cops go when they tear down the safety building if they don't have the St. Mary's site ready. It's a very complex project, and it's a lot of moving parts. And God only knows what the final cost will be in this. So what I'm saying is, Bill just had the thing committed and up when the mayor leaves office. So the next mayor is going to have to own this.
Okay.
And that's it may be that this is the best solution. It may be that the new mayor will just love this idea, and it may be that they won't find radioactive elements and asbestos. I mean, I don't know, but my point is, every time a mayor leaves office, they've got things that are going on, unless they're going to just sit on their hands the last year, which, as a libertarian, I don't mind that.
Yeah, I understand that. Hey, let's go to Stimpy and Raycode Mike on the phone here. And for both of you, I'm sure you can hear me right now. I want to be able to give Frank enough time to dutifully answer both of these questions. So the best both of you can for me here. We only have about till 8:48, 8:49 with Frank. So best you can, if you can keep these questions to about a minute or two long, so I can give him time to respond. We'll go to Stimpy first, and then the Mike next. Stimpy, what's on your mind, buddy?
Yeah, thank you so much for going on the air. One of the things I was actually wanting to ask you, just because they're pushing this going green, and it's not just here in Knoxville, it's actually global wide. Well, what happens to the regular ecosystem when you actually destroy all of the organic materials, such as trees and everything else that produce oxygen, that also eliminate global warming, to accommodate the higher residential properties as well as businesses and everything else? So you're going to be dozing a majority of the city to accommodate basically double the population.
Let me point out that there are more trees in East Tennessee now than when East Tennessee was settled.
But yet, at the same time, they would still have a...
There's about 800,000 acres of trees in East Tennessee alone.
And at the same time, they're still basically telling us that the whole global warming is actually going to be directly implemented by us as a result. And so if this is actually their agenda, what are they proposing to actually replenish this natural wildlife, and what it's going to do on the ecosystem, such as the regular animals that are actually in the area as well?
Well, as I point out, if you're looking around in Knoxville and Knox County, maybe Blount County as well, or Oak Ridge, you say, oh my goodness, there are all these people here, where are the animals? Well, the animals are here. But if you drive out a little ways, if you drive around East Tennessee, I used to spend a lot of time on horseback in the national forests and different places around East Tennessee. And there are, as I said, more trees now than there were when the settlers first came. And we don't timber the national forests now, and we have Big South Fork and the Smokies National Park. So there are, and then you drive over toward the Cumberland Plateau, there are counties over there that are 75-80% of them are still trees, especially when you get off the interstate. So it's not true that we're losing all our trees and animals.
Stimpy, I need to save enough time for Recode Mike to ask his question, so I'm going to jump over to him, but I appreciate your input as always, buddy.
All right, thanks.
There goes Stimpy. Let's go to Recode Michael here. Question for Frank. About 3-4 minutes left here for Frank to respond. What's on your mind, sir?
Frank, you remember back in the day when we had the citizens' revolt of the wheel tax? It seems to me that...
As I recall, you were out front waving a banner, weren't you?
That may have been, that was probably the beginning of my civic participation. But, the city council's gotten away from representing the people. They're now in the business of telling us how we should live. And I think it's time for revolt, either with the recall movement or something like the wheel tax, where we put recode on a ballot referendum. Do you think that people in the city are just going to sit by and take what city council is? Here in East Tennessee, the one thing you don't do is tell people how it's going to be. And it seems like the city council is telling us how it's going to be.
What has concerned me for several years now is when Bill Haslam became mayor, first of all, his last name was Haslam. Secondly, he was a nice fellow. And the city council became a rubber stamp for the mayor. And it got to be so boring that the city council hardly got covered anymore. I mean, there used to be TV reporters and newspaper reporters at every council meeting. Now they sort of check the agenda. If there's not anything, going on, they let it go. And this council has been the rubber stamp for Madeline O'Hara as well. So the council has not exercised due diligence, I don't believe, in a lot of issues. There are a lot of things that they could have been asking questions about at least, but they sort of sit there mute and rubber stamp whatever is put in front of them. And but as if you look at past elections, sometime about 15, 16 years ago, the vote totals for city elections took a nosedive. It got to where it seemed like nobody cares enough about city government. But when you consider the cities gave the schools away to the county, they gave them the health department, they gave them the libraries. Outside of the police and fire department, the cities, and they've got an engineering department, and they've got planners, of course. But most of the functions that affect people on a daily basis are now operated by the county. You know, the trustee collects the taxes, the register of deeds, and all these different offices. So I just don't know if there's enough scrutiny being given to the city government at all.
And Rico, Mike, we gotta get out on this break, but I'll give you the last 30 seconds to a minute here, buddy.
Well, there's that's a double-edged sword, Frank. Since nobody votes, you know how easy it is to recall people? It's only 3,200 votes. And with postcards, you could do that in a single weekend. I really think that city council's making a huge mistake. They seem to feel they just forced this down the people's throats. 5 of them could be taken out on any given weekend, and that would make news.
Well, you're going to take out some of them in come August when you have the city council election. You could run a slate of candidates who are pledged to do this, that, or the other, and it may be easier to do it that way.
Well, that's a good idea. Just basically take them out at the ballot box and overthrow Recode with the next administration.
Well, I tell you what, I have not read Recode all the way through, and I don't intend to. I guess most people are that way. I don't know. There are some elements to it probably where they improved the definitions and changed zoning and whatever, but it's such a huge thing. As was said about Nancy Pelosi passing Obamacare, we have to pass it to see what's in it. And I'm afraid we're going to find out some things in this one that we hadn't counted on.
Yeah, Mike, we got to hit this break, buddy. I always appreciate your calls. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, there goes Rico and Mike, 8:49 in the morning. I want to be respectful of Frank's time here, so we got to let him go. Hey, make sure to go check out knoxtntoday.com, though. All the headlines, again, I'll post this on our Facebook so people can follow along. Rahara's leaving successor with a formal to-do list. There's a couple things in that article we did not get to. Republicans split on fetal heart bill, and a slew of other interesting articles you're going to read on. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir.
Enjoyed it.
8:50 in the morning. Hit this last break before the 9 o'clock break. Be right back.
Thanks again. I appreciate you sticking around so long. I know the audience really appreciates that.
I started listening online. I live up on the Holston River, so I don't get most of the Knoxville radio stations.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, we say all the time, we don't have, obviously, nearly the coverage 98.7 does, but I don't think most people know that there's even another political talk station in town, but.
Yeah, a little advertising.
Yeah. You need budget for that, though, you know.
Chicken or the egg.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks again, sir.
Okay, I had a good time.
One thing remains the same: FMT's commitment to putting their policyholders first. Most insurance companies make decisions based on how it will affect their stockholders. At FMT Insurance, serving the policyholder is their primary concern. The policyholders they serve are the owners of the company. FMT Insurance is there to serve you when the unexpected happens. Neighbors helping neighbors, one person, one family at a time. If you own a home, mobile home, rental dwelling, farm, or maybe you need coverage for your church, give FMT Insurance a call. One lady recently saved $100 per month on her home insurance. So give them a call and see what they can do for you. That's 523-5153. Or go online at fmtinsurance.com. Shared purpose, mutual values. FMT, the Farmers Mutual of Tennessee.
One of the things I've noticed about Fox Toyota is the fact that a lot of people have the same testimony as I do. Hello, everyone. My name is Bob Bell. I work here at Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. And for the past 20 years, I've purchased as many as 5 different Toyotas from Fox Toyota. Whether it's a brand new Tacoma or a Camry or perhaps a pre-owned vehicle that's certified Toyota pre-owned, it's Fox Toyota in Clinton. See them today, exit 122 off I-75 North in beautiful Clinton, Tennessee.
This traffic report is brought to you by the United States Air Force. Make a living with a career that makes a difference. The United States Air Force has more than 200 career options. Airforce.com.
Traffic from the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Not more than a couple of minutes right now. Alcoa Highway and Pellissippi Parkway, but watch yourself through the construction up near National Fitness. If you're on and off the interstate, it's 640. A little bit of work still 640 from Broadway. TDOT doing their best to get caught up on damaging potholes. Look ahead. Try to avoid it. Did you know that R&M Climate Control, my company, can set you up with a new furnace for your home as little as $99? Call R&M Heating today at 229-6176. I'm Pete Michaels.
In the future, where no one's allowed to have the name Roz, what does Roz do for a living? Join her and all her Power Ranger friends as they attempt to win her name back. Rescue Roz 2 in theaters near you.
Are we recording? Can I go on this? We're not recording.
Hey, 8:54 in the morning. Welcome back to Real News, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr.
Henry, I only have about 3 minutes left, so I'm just going to do some random rambling here for the next couple of minutes until we get our guest in for Conspiracy Theory Thursday. Let me tell you what we're talking about today. A whole slew of things. Pretty much anything is on
Can
that.
you do all of Conspiracy Theory in that voice?
Yeah, sure.
I want you to ask every question. I want you to talk to them.
Who's the shooter on the hill?
Yes.
Who really killed JFK? Martin Luther King. Something about him. I don't know. Chemtrails. Did we land on the moon? Okay, good. I'll do the whole interview like that. See how low I can actually get with it, too. We might be talking a little bit about historical revisionism. If you don't know what that is, it obviously just identifies a reinterpretation of historical record, usually challenging the orthodox or sort of established, accepted, or traditional views that professional scholars about a historical event might say would be the decent interpretation. And look, it's not exactly a conspiracy theory. It's really not. It's just an understanding that history has a tendency to be written by the victors. Okay, and a lot of history that we know it right now did not actually take place or wasn't actually put on paper until decades upon decades, if not hundreds of years, if not thousands of years after it took place. We also might bring up this story here: Demon Barber. Jack the Ripper's identity may finally have been revealed as a Polish barber, claimed scientists using DNA from the scene. Blood-covered Shaw found at one of the horrific murder scenes is believed to contain the DNA from both a butchered victim and that of the infamous serial killer. Jack the Ripper, who stalked London more than 130 years ago, was a demon barber with a taste. Oh, dude, we got the whole crew in here. Everybody's in here. Was a demon barber with a taste for human flesh, according to his startling new scientific evidence. A blood-covered Shaw. I already read that before. This is the Sun. So, it is what it is. We get a caller and line one of the Crown Plaza call number. Researchers at Liverpool John Moores University conducted genetic tests on the sample, long thought to have belonged to the Ripper himself, who they now believe to be a Polish individual. I'm going to save his name because I have no idea what it means. We also might go through some of these conspiracy theories for HARP. Oh, if you don't know what HARP is, what is this? What? 1 minute, one minute phone call? One phone. Are we bringing him on? Is that what okay, yeah, I don't know who this is. Ross is typing this right now. Got about 2 minutes before this break. Apparently there's someone on the line. Who is this? Dun, dun, dun. Linus! Hey, okay, I'm going to bring him on right now.
Linus, buddy, what's up, man? I want to get you on here as soon as we can. 8:56, about 2 minutes left here. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I'm really sorry I missed talking to Frank Cable.
Oh.
And I would like to say that JV brought up some points there that really need to be looked at. One, I'd like to see a study on the impact on stuff like the cost of utilities, police department, fire department, schools, the whole 9 yards. And I have not seen anything like that, and people on the other side won't even talk about it.
Oh.
Now, this tells me that we're being sold horse apples for cheese here.
I love your analogies, man. No, I think you're right. I do.
We need to put this on a ballot as a referendum, and the fact that they don't want to do it tells me two things. They're a bunch of greedy politicians who don't have an honest bone in their bodies, A, and B, like I said, we're being sold horse apples for cheese here. The public needs to rise up in arms and put these people in their place. They've got no business ruling against the will of the people like this.
No, I agree with you, Linus, but every single time I say that as well, too, and this is not even me playing devil's advocate, you've heard the same thing. The city council or other media figures in this area, they keep coming back with, well, we've had 80 meetings on it. We've had 70 meetings on it.
Stop a second. You're dignifying these people by claiming that they actually represent the public, and they don't. They're not a city council. They're a collection of special interest groups, and this has got to be brought to a halt.
Wow. Well, Linus, you said it best, buddy. We got to run. It's going to cut us off even though I want to. Appreciate the call and your input, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Thank you. There goes Linus, 8:58 in the morning. Stick around for news, traffic, weather, all that. Be back with Conspiracy Theory Thursday.
All right, Facebook, the Book of Faces. I don't know what this is. Let me leave you with this. See if this is interesting.
You can turn back now, or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. It's a good question. HAARP, you've probably heard of it before. It stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research. It's located in Gakona, Alaska. It was built in 1993. That's when they started working on it, at least. And a lot of this came from the tireless advocacy of a senator called Ted Stevens. Called Ted Stevens because that was his name. I digress. The question about HAARP has always been, what exactly are they doing? And conspiracy theories about this abound. Here's what we know, at least the official version of what and why. What they're doing is they're shooting radio beams up into the ionosphere. Well, what the is the ionosphere? That's a good question. A lot of people don't know that either. The ionosphere is part of the upper atmosphere. There are various layers. There's the troposphere, the stratosphere, and then boom, we've got the ionosphere. It's pretty big, and it's kind of think of it like a shell of electrons and charged atoms or molecules. A lot of it is reacting to the ultraviolet energy sent by the sun. So what we're doing, we being the people at HAARP, in theory, is shooting up radio beams into the ionosphere to see how they could affect radio communication, how they could affect solar flares, or how solar flares might affect terrestrial technology. That's the official version. Now you'll hear some more cynical people who are members of groups that want to stop HAARP say stuff like basically the United States government spent hundreds of millions of dollars to shoot part of the atmosphere, and see what happened. Just roll the dice, right? The scary thing is that kind of reasoning is believable because governments have funded scientific projects like that in the past. And, maybe one day, if you're interested, we can run a list of some of the more ridiculous projects. But the conspiratorial side, if it's true, is much more frightening. And that's the idea that this ionospheric stimulation would be able to produce natural disasters like hurricanes, typhoons, earthquakes, real end-of-the-world type stuff, or that it could affect people's minds somehow. Now, as you probably already know, skeptics dismiss these claims entirely. And why do they do that? It goes down to an argument of scale. The amount of interference that the HAARP station in Alaska is able to enact upon Earth's ionosphere in general is, you might hear it compared to throwing a rock in the Pacific Ocean, or trying to cut down a tree with like a pair of sewing scissors. Are those a thing? Really small scissors. Point being that HAARP itself doesn't seem to have enough energy in order to affect a worldwide system, much less target parts of that system remotely. So for the sake of argument, let's say that some of this might be true. Well, if we looked at that, our evidence would be the following. One, we know that weather modification already does exist and has existed for a very long time, primarily in the form of cloud seeding, which we have an episode about in our series on weather modification. Second, we know that someone who worked at DARPA did apply for a patent, and they were granted a patent for something that could perhaps affect the weather in the way that some HAARP opponents believe HAARP can. But here's the catch. He never actually built this machine that he got a patent for. It's almost a thought exercise based on calculations that say, well, HAARP is this big, 180 high-powered antennas across 30 acres versus how big it would need to be, or how big something would need to be in order to have a larger world system-wide effect. And that's not all. There's also a couple of very interesting conversations with high-level world leaders. At the United Nations in 2010, then President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad said that HAARP was directly responsible for floods in Pakistan. That same year, Hugo Chavez also alleged that HAARP was messing with the weather, weaponizing it, and blamed the Haitian earthquake on HAARP. We also know one-time Secretary of Defense William Cohen here in the United States said that terrorists were investigating new methods of attacks. And he named a bunch of stuff, like he named breeding some sort of new form of genetically modified insect that will become a disease vector. He talked about creating natural disasters, weaponizing climate change, a couple of other very strange things that you can read in his interview in full, which is posted online. We'll have a link to it in the description down here. So when we ask what the hell is going on at HAARP, on one side we have people saying, well, it's doing, largely abstract research. We're just monitoring things to learn how systems work, which is a great thing to do, right? And on the other side, we have people saying, no, it's something nefarious, and that the rise in natural disasters, or the perceived rise in natural disasters, is occurring in some way because of man's intervention via HAARP. And we do know that there's some fairly good evidence that people can make some natural disasters. There's compelling evidence that fracking, for instance, is nudging things a little bit closer toward earthquakes in some parts of the world. And it's certainly not improving the water. It's literally the nicest.
Yup. Facebook, did y'all listen to that? Was that good at all? Was there cussing in that video?
I just got called for my purse. Oh, you going back for your purse? Purse. I know you prep real hard for the show, Graham. This is my prep. I feel horrible, but every time I prep, we never go.
What if I could move that camera so we could all be here?
I'll sit right on it. We'll just be two grumpy old men. If you thought Walter Matt down Jack Lemmon, fine. You should see me driving him to school in the morning. Yeah, I pretty much curse at anything that moves. I feel horrible without him. Bad dad. That's the one thing I learned from Vince Vaughn. Earmuffs.
Yeah.
He used to laugh at me. I go, earmuffs, and then just let it rip. Shake your head.
Vince Vaughn, man.
Best line ever. Earmuffs.
He just got fell up, man. Him and Owen Wilson. What happened?
After True Detective, second season, he's not done anything.
Well, that's not the best angle in the world, but better. I'm gonna get him.
Oh, they're gonna love you at the IB school now. If anybody catches wind of this, teachers will dox you.
I've already made a few teachers mad already.
No way.
I told you about it.
Yeah, I know you have. So don't be surprised when you debate a teacher and they fail.
Yeah, that might happen.
Hey, she brought it up. I'm not.
That's always your excuse. Hey, she opened her mouth. Her excuse, she brought it up.
Do whatever you do.
I'm waiting for his cue. There we go. Cue? There we go.
9:08 in the morning. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Real News, broadcasting live from the FMT Insurance Studios. A couple housekeeping things right now. Crown Plaza call number. It is Conspiracy Theory Thursday. We have a slew of topics that we may need to get to here. A litany of issues, other vocabulary and whatnot. Don't forget about the AM 760. If you're listening on the 92.3 FM, you so happen to drive out of our range, we have a cool app as well. Just type in Talk Radio 92.3 Knoxville. Talk Radio 92.3 Knoxville. All those words together. Use the first and only thing that comes up in
Make sure to use the point.
Point. Yeah, you can use the point too. It's not 902.
Well, you have to.
923.
Or you won't get it, yeah.
It's 92.3.
Right.
92.3. Get it right. Pay the price. Yeah, that's right. Also, all the other social media nonsense, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Just type in Real News Radio. Even our YouTube, if you want to type that in, it's Real Space News Space Radio. If you type in Real News Radio, all one word, you get some other weird channel. I'm not exactly sure what that guy's about, but it's Real Space News Space Radio. We have some stuff up there, some little vignettes for you. Instagram's going. I think I'm up to like 40 followers now. It's getting huge.
That's not bad.
It's getting massive, man.
That's intense.
Took me like 2 years to get 40 followers.
Oh, man.
Pretty good.
Hey, the voices you're hearing right now, let's start with caller Matt. You know him, and then we'll go to my
Knoxville.
right. Yeah, that's caller Matt's introduction. Tell us your name.
Hey, I'm Ethan. I'm Matt's son.
Awesome. There you go. We got caller Matt and Ethan. And let's start off Conspiracy Theory Thursday this way. Again, Crown Plaza call number 865-888-TALK, 865-888-8255. We may talk about this article that Ray just sent me. Flawed analysis, failed oversight, how Boeing FAA certified these suspect 737 MAX flight control systems. Might talk about their, apparently they have the identity, recognize me, there you go. Might have the identity of, let's see, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, as they call it, Jack the Ripper's identity. We also have some HARP stuff. A little bit of his history revisionism. We may be all over the place this morning. We may not talk about any of that. Matt wants to start off with something, though, that JB brought up at the end of last week's Conspiracy Theory Thursday. Go ahead, buddy.
JB, I know you're out there. I know you're listening. You brought up Laurel Canyon, and you happened to mention the movie studio at Laurel Canyon. I think you were getting at that's where Stanley Kubrick was filming the moon landings. But I just wanted to think that's where you were going with that, and I wanted to get that out last time, and we didn't get to. But they weren't filmed. I think they weren't filmed in London. It's the Laurel Canyon. That's where they had the movie studio, and I think they were doing other things with that movie studio as well. Yeah.
Now, what do you mean by that?
Anything that needed to be faked at the time.
Yeah, right.
Let's just say, they filmed you're in Laurel Canyon out in the middle of the desert. you can film some moon landings.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with a full studio set up in the middle of nowhere.
Now, Caller Matt, you don't go, and maybe I want to get Ethan's take on this as well. You don't go as far as to say that, say, like belief in a flat Earth theory, though, do you?
No, I'm just saying what we're shown on video is BS.
Right.
There's too many holes. There's too many weird things. I'm not even saying that we didn't go to the moon. I'm just saying what we were shown on film has problems. That's all.
Well, it's interesting to take too, and this whole idea that I have a problem with these deep fake videos or whatever, right? And even the deep fake AI technology.
Oh, yeah, I think we just got a little taste of that.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? Is I want to say that this deep fake technology has been introduced for the first time ever that we could fabricate video evidence, but I'm thinking now, well, that's not necessarily true, right? There's a lot of people that have been thinking for a very long
Zapruder
time.
film.
Yeah, right.
Moon landings. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the technology, maybe we did, maybe we didn't see the wires, whatever else now. But again, it will become even more problematic. Thinking about the mentality's already been introduced decades ago, it will become even more problematic going forward. Have you seen these videos? I mean, you're in the internet deep web stuff. Have you seen those deep fake videos?
Oh, the ones he watches, like, no, I don't.
The Reagan videos, a comparison of like a real Reagan next to a fake Reagan. Dude, I can't tell the difference for the life of me. I seriously can't tell the difference.
No, and when you could put words in their mouth, that's even more amazing.
What are you saying? Oh, yeah, right, Ethan. Yeah, don't worry. Get right up on these mics here, man. They're like super one-directional.
Right.
Yeah, I spit all over mine, which is why nobody else uses mine. I get too emphatic in here, Roz. Yeah, but dude, those deep fakes, man. I was listening to some analysis the other day, specifically about this individual named Tim Pool, and he had a really good point with this, saying, I had always presumed that the problem is going to be that if you're running for politics or something, you supposed skeletons in the closet, someone could just fabricate a skeleton in the closet by making a fake video. That's one part of it. But the part that I didn't really go to, which terrifies me, is, bro, let's say a video came out of legitimately Hillary Clinton on tape saying, go kill Seth Rich. Like, here's the money to kill Seth Rich. She could then claim in the back end, no, that video was faked, right?
I think that's the setup. We knew there were going to be some juicy videos coming out. I think this whole push on the deep fake is to get us ready for some excuses, big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, just people saying, nope, it's fake. Nope, it's fake.
They can blame it on their own problems.
No, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be terrifying, which actually is an interesting segue into this whole idea of historical revisionism. If you don't know, I brought this up before, but it identifies sort of the reinterpretation of historical record, usually meaning that they challenges the orthodox, established, accepted, or traditional views held by professional scholars about a historical event, introducing contrary evidence or sort of reinterpreting the motivations and decisions of the people involved. This is something you've been into for at least a little bit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How did you fall upon that?
Just questioning history. I mean, sometimes I've just looked at certain things like the Russian Revolution or maybe the Holocaust and sort of just think I just start researching things, and then apparently you're a hateful person.
I know, yeah. No, I understand that for sure. I mean, the Holocaust is one thing, maybe the Russian Revolution is another thing, but even if you go, the further you go back in history as well, what's the statistic? Somebody in Facebook helped me out. It was either several decades or several hundred years. I want to say it was like 1,000 years after the death of Caesar that anyone actually put Caesar's account on historical record, right? That's the
they
thing.
Were going to leave it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing they tell us in apologetics course is that the first historical account we have of Christ's life, whether you want to ascribe his deity or not, is not of important right now. What's important is that it was about 54 years, the earliest account. I've heard something is about 37 years after his death, we started to have people writing about it. So it's reasonable to think that as far as historicity is concerned, the individual named Jesus Christ was probably a very real historical person. Now, whether he was God or not, it's a totally different conversation.
They don't like rebels.
No, they don't.
They tend to not want them in history, and they tend to write them out of history. Any rebel that's true and not co-opted is written out of history.
Well, then you go to account of Caesar, and you're thinking, all right, man, well, if it's just the timing of how long before, there's a lot of stuff that could be misremembered, or if it's just oral tradition being passed down, what really happened in this guy's life, you know?
Imagine what's going to be erased if it's not written in stone right now.
Right, no,
and
exactly.
Nothing is written in stone anymore. They could
all
they could write a new history tomorrow.
Decomposable paper.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the truth. And it is Ethan, right?
Yeah.
Where are you in public school right now?
Yes.
No,
IB school.
What now?
IB.
What is that?
International Baccalaureate. It's a global citizenship school.
Oh, I have no idea what that means. You're going to have to explain that. What does that mean?
Basically, when you take these classes, you sort of earn a global citizenry, which it teaches you how to learn new languages. That's the cover that they use. But when you actually read it, it says uniting everybody into one global citizenry. I think that's been quoted once.
It's David Rockefeller's World Communist Plan.
This is public school?
Yeah, implemented by Bill Gates right now.
Can you say the school's name on air? No?
There's
Okay.
only one IB high school. It's easy to guess.
All right. Yeah, I have no idea what this thing even is. All right. Well, with that being said, with the IB school, what do you ever espouse any of this opinions in class?
Yeah, I don't really care.
Okay.
What the consequences are, because they can't be that bad. I mean, it's really only just teachers.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of say what they don't like to hear, but I can't really explain it that well. But
well, let me use an analogy.
I created
here.
a free thinker. He's going to question, he's going to debate them, and he's very good at it. He's he's debated his teachers into a corner a few times.
Let me bring up a sort of a thought experiment for Ethan to go through here. I was watching this video, and I would love to play this on air, but unfortunately, man, like every other word is a cuss word, and I really just don't want to give Roz that much work to do. It wouldn't even make sense if every was just bleep this and bleep that, right? I was watching this video, though, of a guy in high school. I want to say he was a junior in high school, and he was wearing, obviously, his red MAGA hat, okay? And the teacher literally, it's some history class, the teacher literally stops the class and says, either you take that hat off or we're all leaving the room right now. And he's, I'm not taking the hat off. He's like, why? Is it a school policy I can't wear the hat in the classroom? He's like, that's not what it's about. It's school policy, not that you can't wear a hat in the classroom. It's my personal policy. Speaking as a teacher here, it's my personal policy that I don't want you to wear that MAGA hat in the room. It's too divisive. It's causing some type of psychological violence. In his words, some type of psychological violence to other people in the room. No joke. The teacher got everyone up out of the room except for 3 students who finally stuck around with this kid. And they just walked out and they just taught the class in the middle of the hallway or something stupid like that. And I'm not saying you're a MAGA supporter and that's what's going on with you, but do you ever have any fear that's not backlash of people publicly walking out, but I don't know, even something as seemingly innocuous as, I don't know, if you're going to get a B when you should have gotten an A, or you know what I'm saying?
Not really. I mean, if I put the work in, then I should expect the grade that I get. But
you should.
I've seen the video before, and I noticed some kids stuck around as well. But the teacher was talking about how the hat was divisive, yet he's willing to split up the entire classroom.
Yeah, right.
He divided. He's the one that did the division.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
He has to point this out to me all the time. Like it helps me out quite a bit. He keeps me on my toes.
Man, something else I might want to ask you about, too, that's not exactly in line with Conspiracy Theory Thursday, but it sort of is as well, too. I kind of want to know, you're a freshman, where your generation comes on this whole idea of sort of millennial social justice warrior, the snowflake type things. I mean, all that stuff. We're going to hit this break right now, 9:19 in the morning. Hit this first break. Stick around for more Conspiracy Theory Thursday. Be right back.
Oh, James Baker and Bob Corker. Bob Corker's name will be coming up. Just get ready. It'll be a big story, just like Huber, just like Honduras.
That's the same thing. Yeah, I don't want to tell her name. That's the same thing another caller told me too.
Yeah, Corker's going to be tied in with James Baker in a plot to kill Trump.
Jeez,
I'm not joking you, but it might come up as a different thing. But that's why him and Trump have such issues. I forgot to. Yeah. That one, Baker keeps coming up, so Corker's not too far behind. Oh. Hillary Clinton owns the patents on the flight automation, like flight controls.
What a coincidence.
Why does she own the patent on flight controls?
What do you mean, all flight controls?
A certain piece of tech that's in all planes now. Why do you think they're grounding these and taking out there? Yeah. And Abel Danger and that other investigator, the ones that uncovered that she actually holds the patent on this stuff. Now, she can crash a plane when she wants to.
That's what I'm crashing planes and controlling patents.
Interesting. Yeah.
I saw a thing about the Ethiopian airliner that went down, but there wasn't any sources or any proof to it. But I have seen it stated that...
you have to look on the flight log. Who was on the plane?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Some of the UN ambassadors that were about to charge Israel for war crimes, just magically the plane goes down. I haven't seen any sources, but it's just something I've read on the internet.
It makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You can't really state that without.
They're clearing out the UN people that aren't going to go along with this.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see the Prime Minister's extra special package?
You talking about New Zealand?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Have you not seen that?
All guns, get rid of. What are we doing? Buyback program?
Oh no. Have you not seen her walking down the hallway?
No.
Her man shell is swinging in the wind. That's
The New Zealand?
There's a video, and she's not hiding it. It's like, lady, you didn't even put panties on today. Like, I'll call her a lady for now, but her jump is there for the world to see. I'm sorry, Ethan. I don't need to talk about this in front of you. But why are we doing this?
Ross was talking to me.
Talking about New Zealand's flying
Hey man, it worked for Australia though, right? That's what they say.
They're playing right into what the shooter wanted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly what he wanted.
Well, this is what did I tell you will happen. It's
Yeah.
like no matter what they make it sound like, they're going to oppress anyone that was thinking like him, had feelings like he did.
That's what he wanted, so they would retaliate and spark a war.
Well, no, it's just going to come to, they just put the boot on people. That's all they're going to do. Yeah. We'll see.
Apathetic situation, so bend on over, gladly take it up, elated with being ruled by the shiesty upper class, because they fresh, because they clean, because they pop, because they gleam, we're disillusioned by their scheme. Think he actually got power in this discriminatory act, but nah, it's time to unite and propel on an enlightened path. You know what I'm saying?
Exact same time. Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah. The hand.
Oh, the
Yeah.
pearl of great price.
The meme on.
It's fake.
Yeah, I know.
It's a pearl of great price.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember President Nixon. What did he do? The bills
I have to pay. Hey, what's up? It's Real News. We're back with caller Matt, his son Ethan. I'm going to continue the question I just asked here because we only have, we got about 7 minutes left before this next break. I want to get into this eventually, though. Ray sent us this headline. This is Seattle Times. Flawed analysis, failed oversight. How Boeing FAA certified the suspect 737 Mike's. It's Mike. Mike's the reason. It's Mike's fault. Go find somebody named Mike and why'd you crash that plane, Mike? The MAX flight control system. And then caller Matt just turned me on to this as well. Able Danger reporting this since January 11, 2018. Again, it's Conspiracy Theory Thursday, but remotely crashing planes and controlling patents. Goodness gracious, what's the connection with Hillary Clinton? We'll tell you about all this. Before we get into that, though, let me ask Ethan. I was just leaving off with your generation in particular. Look, I'm not that much older than you, but I remember when internet came into the house. I remember the old dive, all that nonsense. I remember what AOL was. I remember all that nonsense.
30 minutes later, you get your 2-second video.
30 minutes later. But your generation was born into a scenario by which it's every information is at the grasp of your fingertips, and then you can actually have some reasonable assessment when you start asking genuine questions like that. Whereas me, when I would ask genuine questions, all I had was initially, you got to go to an encyclopedia, and just it is what it is,
libraries.
Right? Yeah.
You had to wait on a book order for months to get one piece of information.
Or you had to find some guy down the street who may or may not have known what's going on, and the community labeled him as a kook anyways, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. But
bug that kook for references.
No, yeah. Exactly.
Now you just open your phone. You get all you want.
That's right. Now you just open your phone. With that
Brave new world.
With that being said, though, where does your generation fall on? And I say your generation in particular because I think you're just outside of the scope of the millennials. I think you're Generation Z. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, there's been statistics out there that I've read that said Generation Z is the most conservative generation since the World War II generation. And you don't exactly think fondly of these sort of social justice warrior types, the snowflakes that sort of break down at any potentially given offensive thing. Everything's offensive now. I mean, is that necessarily true, or is it just you, or how do you feel about that?
When it comes to politics, I think almost everybody in my generation has an opinion. It's not very centered either. You're either this or this. It's not. It's you're not going to find it that much of a balance. I don't purposely associate with people that align with my political views. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of people my age that are left and right, and third positionists, but it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I guess I like the part of the frustration I have, man, is it used to be, at least for quite some time, people that are my age, we used to be able to have a conversation of, yeah, you consider yourself Democrat, yeah, you consider yourself Republican, but when it really comes down to when the rubber meets the road, so to speak, I would be able to have a nuanced conversation. You follow me? I'd be able to have a conversation where at the end of the conversation, if I was wrong, I'd be able to admit that I was wrong, and I'd be willing to change my mind. It sounds like what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're saying, the vast majority of people that are your age are exclusively progressive or exclusively conservative, kind of entrenched in those camps in their echo chambers and unwilling to vary.
Correct.
Okay.
He actually had to make me take a new look at abortion because I had to look at it through, at the time, of 12, 13-year-old's eyes because he's finding this information. He's talking to me about it. And from viewing it through his eyes and his perspectives, it made it incredibly clear to me what the issue was. And that him and his friends, they didn't view it. There was no gray. This is bad.
What? Really?
That was the reality of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the abortion is horrible. What are our parents thinking? Why would you ever do this? And this is a lot of kids his age and his friends are just like, y'all are having a discussion about this at, fourth week, abortions up until the day of birth. That this is even a discussion you all would have. This is pretty scary.
No, I
had to really look at.
I'm not sounding surprised because I disagree with you. I'm sounding surprised because that seems to be not exactly.
These aren't the leftist kids
no,
you're thinking of. These aren't the socialists.
What is it? Is it just axiomatic? Does it just come down for you like, oh, dude, come on, that's it. It's not going to be a chicken, right? We're not birthing a dragon here. Yeah. It's clearly a human being. Is that all it is for you?
Kind of. But when me and my friends talk about, we have a lot of these conversations like this, but yeah, most of the time it's like that. It's mostly just the importance of human life.
Do y'all talk at all about the 40-week abortion allowances and stuff going on now? I mean,
I think we have a few times, but it's only me and like one of my other friends that actually keep up with the news. My other friends are just kind of opinionated on the stuff that we bring up.
Sure. Shine and I have been on this tip recently, man, and it's a really dark place to go. Facebook caught a little bit of this before, and hey, it's Conspiracy Theory Thursday, so it's worth bringing up again. The idea that there may or may not be an industry with lobbyists behind it that are.
Oh, they definitely make money on this.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
That's the sick part about all of it.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
that's what he saw.
Yeah.
He saw the industry. Why would you do this? And it is horrible. And I had to go, wait, this is no longer about someone's rights. This is just a bad industry.
Well, for a guy like Shine, it got to the point of, okay, first and foremost, we all know that this is on congressional record. This is not opinion. This is just straight from the word of Planned Parenthood's mouth. All right, Planned Parenthood went on the record and said, yeah, we sell baby body parts. Now, it's not illegal because we're not making profit from it, they said. That was their claim.
Wait, bonuses. I'm sorry. They can hand out extra huge bonuses.
Well, that was their thing, is that we're not technically doing something illegal, therefore, and it's the same thing that happens with Roe v. Wade. Therefore, it's not illegal, therefore, it's not immoral. So because we're not making a profit off of selling baby body parts, it's not technically immoral either. That was their argument. Now, legally speaking, again, they're fine. They're within their legal rights. That's a statute. Change it if you want to. But it sets the standard that we have to say, okay, fine, there is at least a market involved in selling these body parts. And then Shine takes it one step further and thinks to himself, why is it the Democrats refuse to sign an infanticide bill? Like, that's just the most insane thing. Yeah. How can we not get on the same page about after a baby is born, you don't kill it?
And it has nothing to do with the safety of the woman at this point.
No,
the baby could be birthed. That was the whole thing. Me and him have never said, hey, if a woman has to have this, if it's an emergency, who's going to stop them in their right mind? We're not the cruel people that everyone wants you to think you are. We're not like that. Come on, none of us are.
Do y'all ever get to the conversation of, like, maybe there might be some lobbyist push behind, I don't know, man, something as terrible as, look, the reason why we're not signing infanticide bills is because we want these babies to be born because we kind of need them to be born. We need their parts or whatever.
Yep.
I mean,
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see it any other way. It makes sense to make the money.
I mean,
and we're on Conspiracy Theory Thursday. These abortions are done under the symbols of Canaan. The symbols on the wall are Hermetic symbols. You have the snake and the caduceus. Come on, you're birthing these under Babylonian symbols. Well, birthing.
It's just thinking about symbology and stuff, and sort of the ritualistic rites to get involved in the upper echelon. Y'all ever talk about like spirit cooking or Beyonce and their involvement with?
We have a few times when it was brought up. When it was talked about when Hillary was suspected of doing this witchcraft or whatever.
With this stuff, yeah.
Or other celebrities like that. We talked about it a bit.
We go into their religion quite a bit. I mean, this is all the same religion, and no matter what we talk about, it honestly is going to end up back in the same place. It is going to be the group of, let's just say, core communists. You can call them by many names: Fabian Socialist, World Communists,
Talmudists,
Babylonians, Phoenicia Canaanites, Edomites, Moabites. I could go on. You can call them whatever. This is the same group. Synagogue of Satan, book by Eustace Mullins. Go read it.
Kelly's saying on Facebook, by the way, it's real, awful, evil stuff. Bob's saying, let's see, extremely logical thinker this kid is. Don't let that die as you get older. He also wants me to ask Ethan if he knows what adrenochrome is. Well, we might have to say that conversation.
I haven't talked to them quite yet about adrenochrome.
9:31 in the morning. Hit this news break. Stick around. When I come back, I think I'm going to get into this conversation about remote-controlled crashes. what the FAA may or may not know.
The moon is in our atmosphere. That's new too.
All
the
right.
moon is now inside
Really?
of our atmosphere. Yep.
And then maybe high frequency active auroral research program, the HARP stuff going on in Alaska. All this stuff on Conspiracy Theory Thursday. When we come back, be right back.
I like Conspiracy Theory Thursday, man. It's
Oh,
fun to
man.
sort of
All
unplug
over.
from.
All over the place. Love it.
I found the Bible quote, Romans 2:9, about the synagogue of Satan.
Yeah, Eustace Mullins did all the work on the finances of who financed these Babylonians from World War I till now.
Oh, have you heard about the Romanov family being ritualistic?
I'm going to get a little bit more coffee, by the way, yeah.
I've got to hit the restroom.
The Bolsheviks.
You want anything, man?
See, he knows who
I'm
funded
okay.
the Bolsheviks. I love it.
Inshallah.
Oh, it doesn't say that.
It's got the Muslim, the Inshallah brother.
I see that.
Oh yeah, I'm a lot less nervous now that I'm talking. Yeah.
It's cool. It's
It's a lot
like
more
that.
comfortable than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I found the Bible quote about the synagogue of Satan, Romans 2:9.
Oh, sweet.
About I can't quote it exactly, but
What is it? Romans.
Romans 2:9, 2:9.
Oh yeah. Good call.
And the Romanovs were ritualistically sacrificed by the Bolshevik Babylonians, supposedly. You know the Russian monarchs, how they were killed by the Bolsheviks. What they don't say is, I've read somewhere that they were ritualistically, you know the word,
Ritualistically.
sacrificed, and like blood sacrifice is really creepy. My dad said this would be the fastest hour of my life.
It goes by really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y'all are doing good. It's fun. Did you see the unicorn sign?
What?
It says whatever. Just wash your hands. I love that one.
You move them whatever you want.
I was seeing if I could turn the fingers to make it do that.
We tried to actually try to change that first when it came in.
We can explain what this really means if you want to. It has zero to do with white power.
I don't think there's anything I can put this hand in aside from maybe just a fist, but then that means something.
Power, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the meme. The meme is supposed to be the okay, but they I think it was 4chan that started trolling the media, thinking it was white power, the WP.
Yep.
They did that to troll them.
Yeah, it's like when they say that Sam Hyde is the actual shooter, and instead it was like the
So
Las
every-
Vegas guy.
So every Hollywood star now,
Yeah.
so now every Hollywood star that's doing this is now white supremacist.
Right.
Because there's a billion of them in pictures. I like how all New Zealanders inverted it. They have theirs down.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's,
Oh.
it's the main. It's like the
Half the cops in New Zealand were in a photo doing that same symbol before they did the raid. So you tell me what's going on. All geared up, all standing there with the symbol. Right before they go arrest a guy that is going to stand in court doing this.
Never mind. If it was before
It's
that
a
changed
setup.
things.
It's a whole bunch of.
Now he's in the gang.
It's Freemason. Oh yeah, that's a good. I can't even.
Blood killer.
OCM. Old City Mafia.
You like these little guys?
That's not even what those are.
I was gonna bring a bunch. My brother has a bunch of these cute little animals. Like one's committing the Harry Carey. There's another little cute panda bear that's slitting his wrist in a tub. Just like really weird Japanese stuff.
That's so
hairy.
Oh yeah, I showed you guys last time. Oh yeah, that was it.
You got a script.
That was my bit.
Bob wants to know if you play chess, Ethan.
Chess?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Pretty good at it.
Yeah. Bobby says he's pretty good at it. What, Chris? Are you messing with me? Don't mess with me, Chris. Aw, dang it.
What is Mr. Lorenz?
My brother's here right now. He's probably seen all the stuff I stole from his room. Sorry, Trace. I'm using your stuff as stasis. As stage props, man. Don't yell at me.
Hey, we could bring up the stuff from Harvard and Bill Gates. Now, they now admittingly spray us and have them for what they call solar remediation.
Solar remediation?
Yeah, it's blocking the sun, like Mr. Simpson, or Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Remember he blocks the sun?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have Bill Gates now blocking the sun. So when he sends us into an ice age, do we blame Bill Gates?
Only one monkey had what it takes to conquer this uncontrollable mass of destruction. Realizing his true purpose, he must save the planet from the rise of the octopus.
Nah, 9:38 in the morning. Welcome back to Real News, ladies
And gentlemen, what do you say, Rise of the Octopeel? What in the world's an octopeel?
I don't know. It looks like some video game. It's pretty cool, man.
Rise of the Octopeel.
Yeah,
It felt
it's from
cool.
Dirt Monkey.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
way cooler than I am.
Of course it's from Dirt Monkey. Who else would it be from? You listen to that Dirt Monkey jam? Yeah, bro. I thought it was going to be that Centipede song that you play sometimes. You know this one? Like that Skrillex sounding Centipede song or whatever? No? No? That always makes me think of that movie, the Human Centipede. Did you ever see that movie?
No, and don't want to. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise that. Look, my Mac just died, which is where I had all these stories pulled up on. We're going to pull that back up here in just a second. I was going to get to the story that's Ray just sent us to set the table for the 737 MAX planes being crashed. Matt had an interesting take on this too. He sent me this Able Danger article about what Hillary Clinton apparently controls some patents on being able to remotely crash. Again, it's Conspiracy Theory Thursday, man. We're going out there. Remotely control or crash planes.
Hillary Clinton owns the patents on some flight avionic technology that would give you the power to hack the plane and crash it. And Able Danger is actually an Air Force officer. Him and his British counterpart, or he's SOS. Able Danger's American. So he knows what he's talking about. He's been following these people for, I would say, 20 years. Their patents, their money. He's been, and this was 2 years ago. I heard him bring this up about Hillary Clinton owning the patents on some avionic technology. I'm like, well, what does that matter? Well, now we have planes dropping out of the sky with
important people.
Who were the important people on the plane, Ethan?
There's no proof. I have not seen a source, but there probably is online somewhere. But I've just read this. It's just been stated that some of the passengers were UN ambassadors that were charging Israel for war crimes.
And that plane just dropped. Ethiopian plane drops out of the sky. We'll see more.
I mean, I don't know where to come for that. And I think about it all the time, too, of these people. I want to ask Ethan here in a second if they know anything about the QAnon and stuff, and kids your age know about this QAnon and stuff. But I see people all the time that have expertise in the field that seemingly get immediately discredited regardless of their expertise. Right? I go back to the guy like William Binney, right? He's been on the program, the guy that developed the technology department for the NSA.
Yeah.
I mean, he's come out now saying that this whole Russia conspiracy, this whole the collusion thing is absolute fabricated nonsense.
Yes, the whole entire thing is it's a communist show trial.
And
literally kicked off when Trump won.
And he's coming at it from the sense of like, look, y'all, I worked for the NSA. I developed this entire spy department. The NSA can spy on the FBI and the CIA. The CIA does not have the capacity to spy on the rest of the world like the NSA does. We literally spy on everybody, literally on everybody. And we tried to tell the FBI and the CIA, and this is maybe
We're
good
spying
for
on
conspiracy
you.
theory. Yeah, this is maybe good for Conspiracy Theory Thursday. Maybe it's not because it just
true, but William Binney told me during an interview, he said, we did the data packet transfer rate. It is not able to be replicated within the outside the continental United States, meaning that if there was a leak, it had to come from within the United States. Russia did not do this based in, for example,
the giant 33,000, that's a huge number.
When they hacked McCain during the 2006, they told us the exact building location in China that it came from. The NSA told us, dude, this didn't come from outside the United States. So I don't know what we're missing here, but I guess the question I'm asking is, for someone like that guy who says he has knowledge of the planes going down or has knowledge of the people who control patents, how and when does it happen that they so immediately get credited with, no, you're conspiracy theorist, therefore the rest of your resume is suspect as well?
That's been the gig from the day one, since JFK was shot. Call him a conspiracy theorist, move on.
Do your buddies talk about any of this QN and stuff?
No, I don't even know that much about Q. He follows, you follow it more
kept
than
on top
I do.
of it, yeah. Just because it's insane.
All I know is from what I've heard from you.
The Q stuff in the beginning used to be called Follow the White Rabbit, and I watched this thing birthed and kicked off online. And when it first kicked off, Q went nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, there was esoteric knowledge getting poured out by people online that I'd never heard of, I've never touched on, and I was getting excited that it was all coming out. And no quicker did it come out than they wrangled in the Q movement.
Yeah, I know.
They wrangled it in and then co-opted it, and then it turned into something it was not.
Yeah, and see, at this point, too, I'm having a bit of trouble trying to figure out if the Q movement is even still what it initially began as, or if it's still a co-opted thing that, because they're talking about...
I don't know who has control of it now. It's bizarre to say, but
they're talking about Trump rolling out paddy wagons and arresting people from the highest, upper echelon of the government facilities, and then martial law being implemented, and just a whole slew of things that I'm not necessarily sure if I want to get behind.
It's happening way slower than they're saying, and the timeline is off by a good year. Like everything that Q was talking about last year, now some of that's coming to fruition. Whereas at the time they thought they made you feel like it's going to come out now.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming out now. Nope. Now it's coming out. I think they've dropped everyone's expectations. Can't explain why they're doing it this way, but it's rolling out a year later.
Ethan, what are your people, again, for people that are just joining, this is caller Matt and his son Ethan. Ethan is a 9th grader in some IB school that we won't name the name of. But the reason I said that is because he is in 9th grade. What do you and your friends think about this rhetoric that's constantly and continually regurgitated in mainstream media, this whole idea of a deep state? What do your friends think about that?
We don't necessarily talk about the deep state. We have an idea of the perpetrators of they in Congress that are pushing these certain laws and social reforms, and 45% of Congress. Do I have your permission?
Yeah, they're from Israel.
Yeah, they're
dual citizens,
ethnically Jewish.
Correct.
Now, I guess you and your buddies have at least some type of knowledge about, say, I don't know, like an Iran-Contra or something to that extent, or say the CIA setting up coups in the Middle East or propping up our own versions of governments. I mean, that's what I'm asking is when Democrats hear the idea of deep state now in today's day and age, they immediately jump to this idea of, well, the deep state is just one massive conspiracy theory. And I think Republicans did ourselves a disservice by labeling that as the deep state. All I want to say is, like, bro, hold on. We've been trying to instill governments for decades, if not hundreds of years, since America has been a world superpower. What, since World War I, World War II on? Maybe even before that, right?
Yeah. All of these puppet governments all throughout the Middle East.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to have an intimate understanding of what the deep state is to at least understand
We've
that.
installed more presidents and dictators than we even have here. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the CIA is a specifically clandestine spy agency. It's what they're for.
Assad is probably one of the last ones.
Yeah, that might be true, right?
It may be. He may be for real. We still don't know.
I think he is, because we're not getting anything from him at all. Nobody's talking to him. There's only been like 2 interviews maybe that I've seen.
As long as Damascus does not fall, I'm okay with that.
Hey, I finally got these articles pulled back up. Here's the headline from SeattleTimes.com. Flawed analysis, failed oversight, how Boeing FAA certified the suspect 737 MAX flight control systems. That leads us into this Able Danger article. This first one was sent to me by Ray on Facebook here. As Boeing hustled in 2015 to catch up to Airbus and certify its new 737 MAX, Federal Aviation Administration, that's the FAA for those that don't know, managers pushed the agency's safety engineers to delegate safety assessments to Boeing itself and to speedily approve the resulting analysis. Now, what did you just hear. What that basically means is these people at Boeing pushed the FAA to say, let us do it. We'll tell you in-house what the safety assessment should and should not be, and then afterwards we'll tell you, whether the resulting analysis is good. It's kind of the same way that the FBI handles their own indiscretion. We'll handle it in-house, tell you whether it was illegal or not illegal.
And look at all the recalls now.
Yeah, right.
Now they're pulling all these planes back.
This article by Dominic Gates goes on to say, but the original safety analysis that Boeing delivered to the FAA for a new flight control system on the MAX, a report used to certify the plane as safe to fly, had several crucial flaws. Several crucial flaws, which some of the conspiracy community might take as those crucial flaws. You're opening yourself up to some exploits there. That gets us into the next...
Strange coincidence.
Yeah, that's right. Strange coincidence. That gets us into the next headline here. Remotely crashing planes and controlling patents. And I'm telling you, man, if it's already there with planes, God forbid what happens with Tesla's technology of self-driving cars, man.
If not, Hillary gave ISIS basically 10,000 Stinger missiles through Benghazi. So if she's not going to knock them out with that, she has ISIS have, Stinger missiles.
9:47 in the morning. Hit this last break. Be right back.
Dude, it's going to be about Hillary.
This hour has freaking flown by, man. What just happened?
I told him. I was like, it's going to be the fastest hour of your life.
Yeah, man, we've been all over the place. I don't even know what we talked about. Blocking the sun.
Can we get into some Bill Gates and Harvard?
Yeah, let's roll through this this plane thing real quick, and then because we only got one segment left. Seriously, man, how did that last hour go so freaking fast? That's crazy.
You have the two mouths of the South. We can just we do this all the way to school, all the way home. We just sit and chat. Yeah.
What do you want to?
Now, sometimes it sounds like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, but.
Man, if we don't have any other guests, dude, I don't know what y'all are doing every Thursday. Maybe you couldn't get him out of school every Thursday, but I'd love for.
Don't say that.
I wouldn't mind.
Don't say that.
Dude, I don't know. Maybe we can talk to some teachers and see if we can get you some class credit for what you're doing.
Maybe.
Nick got class credit for doing this last semester, like a college credit, legitimate college course credit. 3 hours, being on this show.
I don't know. I could see these teachers sending the police to my house.
We wouldn't have to tell them what it's about. We just tell them.
The lady that came to talk in his 6th grade class about the IB school she came out wearing a red kerchief and a red beret side. I'm not kidding.
Oh no!
Why do you think
I thought you were joking?
I was in the chair with I was looking around. I'm like, do you see this? And everybody else is like not noticing. I'm like, she's wearing a red kerchief and a red beret.
She's another internationalist worm.
Total cult member. Yeah. Totally up there. You could see the crazy in her eyes. She had the Ocasio-Cortez eyes. Preaching about world, citizenship.
I couldn't hear.
We're talking about the lady in the red kerchief and the red beret that came to teach about IB schools, and I was just blown away that I'm sitting here looking at Malice on stage preaching world communism that my kid's about to go into this thing.
Chris said this on Facebook. Chris, you were joking, right? I mean, this is what Chris just said. Conspiracy Theory Thursday. During the spring equinox yesterday, local government leaders had a ceremony in a secret chamber under the sun sphere to bring about the NWO and RICO.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he was joking. Were you joking, Chris?
Probably not. It was the biggest moon phase. He is probably joking.
I'm sure he is, but
he likes pushing those buttons.
It sounds like something that could. I don't know, dude.
I wouldn't doubt it though. You're saying it as a joke, Chris. We probably go find out. And call some of my friends in the city and find out. Because, I'm not going to say how I can find out, but I can find out.
What did you want to bring up? Oh, right, the Harvard Sun stuff. Yeah, we'll work with that.
Bill Gates, Mr. Burns.
Hey, it's 9:50 in the morning.
I just for telling these folks off air, dude, I'm pretty sure this is the fastest hour I've ever done on this show in my life. I don't even remember the talks we covered. This stuff has flown by. We need another 2 hours to cover this properly. Chris is saying on Facebook, joking, of course, but this is still plausible. I think that's why I love Chris so much, man. It's just dry sarcasm. It's just wonderful. He's saying Conspiracy Theory Thursday. During the spring equinox yesterday, local government leaders here in Knoxville had a ceremony in a secret chamber under the sun sphere to bring about NWO and the RICO. That's awesome.
I love it, man.
Let me just read this first paragraph here from this article from Able Danger. Ray just sent us something saying that Hey, Boeing kind of convinced the FAA to let them run their own security as far as MAXs are concerned. Here's Richard C. Walker, he's part of technologies for Hewlett-Packard. He says Internet of Things patents that can take down planes with remote instructions to one little QRS-11 sensor in the autopilot system. Global surveillance grid includes embedded chips in planes, devices, equipment, and people to remotely send signals and control every element of the Internet of Things network. The QRS-11 quartz rate sensor, the diameter of a quarter, also see able danger, blah, 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 is embedded in most aircraft autopilots. The intelligence version of the sensor can be turned off remotely. Good Lord, are you kidding me? And bring down the plane. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Hillary Clinton's Rose Law Firm in Little Rock, Arkansas, handled the QRS-11 patent family. Her mentor, managing partner, Joseph Guerreri, I can't pronounce that last name, was on the board of assigning the patents for BEI Technologies, Hillary Clinton's Rose Law Firm. So apparently Hillary Clinton has some investment in these chips that can control and bring down. Now, here's the other weird connection, though, buddy. And I know this is strange.
I hadn't looked at this in like 2 years, and it blows me away hearing it again.
Here's the strange connection to draw, too. When they, and I'm pretty sure it was the Clinton administration that provided the guidance chips to North Korea.
Yep.
Right? And those guidance chips, I've been told by Colonel Tony Schaefer and a few others in the intelligence community, those guidance chips control a remote in those chips that at any given time can shut their flight pattern off, right? So a lot of people were speculating when they had those blowups. Remember when North Korea was testing their bombs and they just blew
None
up
of their
that mountain?
missiles would work.
None of their missiles would work. A lot of people were speculating that America was like, oh yeah, launch that.
We
Fine.
got this.
Dink. Yeah, and they would just shut it down in the middle of the year. Now, I don't know how much you can draw those two together, but if we have the technology to sell these fake chips to North Korea and shut it down, I don't know, man. Who's to say that?
We didn't sell them to Boeing, or Rose Law Firm didn't sell them to
I
Boeing.
don't know. The Clinton connection is there. What do you think about this, Ethan?
I wouldn't doubt it at all.
Yeah.
These people are connected to literally everything. Nothing is a coincidence anymore. I'm sorry, you can't live like that anymore. After 20 or 30 connections, you gotta start going, okay.
20 or 30 coincidences.
Coincidences.
Now, this obviously draws the connection to what we were talking about before of, I don't know whether this thing was planned or not, but there's been a couple sort of coordinated plane crashes. And Q also has this thing as well, too, of like things that are happening in certain cities, right? And it's almost like a neocon code to Lindsey Graham, for example, okay?
Right.
When Lindsey Graham was activated, there so happened to be at the exact same time a catastrophic natural disaster, also a plane crash in his district, and one other thing that I'm forgetting right now, and they were saying that it was sort of a coordinated attack on his district saying, Lindsey Graham, if you step out of line with the neocon code one more time.
Messages.
They were sending a message to Graham saying, shut up or you will be shut up, because John McCain was holding you in place for a little while, but
Seems like he had the leash on him for whatever reason.
Right.
It does seem like he was being used by McCain.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's not.
And we only have about 3 or 4 minutes left before the end of the show, and I know we're jumping everywhere with Conspiracy Theory Thursday here. Chris, already in everybody's Androids and iPhones. I mean, I guess that's true. We're already taking this in.
Are we looking at the Kingsman? Where they're going to send a signal through our cell phone? We're all going to go nuts on each other?
That was a fun movie, man.
I know advertisements will pop up whenever you start talking about certain things like healthcare.
We do. Oh, you just said it. Now all our phones are going to... You just infected all of our phones with healthcare.
Every listener.
Let's see if we can do this. Healthcare, kayak, Sennheiser headphones.
Blue kayaks.
Blue kayaks, healthcare, Sennheiser headphones. See if that pops up in everybody's cell phone right now. Yeah. Yeah, there it goes.
We're going to get phone calls from the next 2 weeks.
Actually, I was reading the story, too, from Sweden or somewhere. I don't know where trains are prevalent, but they were going to put these sort of like ultrasonic wave things that, people sleep on these subways with their head on the glass.
Yes.
They're going to put these sort of waves that come through the glass where they would pump, they would literally pump advertisements into your head by just vibrating your skull or something. It was...
Japan already has ad specifics to you when you walk by a store.
Right.
It talks to you. It picks up who you are, facial recognition. And then the ad is to you. The hologram will begin talking to you.
It's like a Minority Report where it scans your iris and, hello, John Smith. This, whatever.
Oh, we're there.
Yeah. Hey, before we get to the end of the show here, like I said, we're jumping everywhere. Matt, you wanted to bring up something about Harvard and
Bill Gates.
Mr. Burns and Bill Gates, and it's all connected.
Bill Gates and Harvard together. This is already admitted. If you wondered what's going on in your skies, and you're like, I know they're spraying us. Well, now they had finally admitted. It took them 15 years. But Harvard and Bill Gates are spraying the skies for solar remediation, is what they call it. They're literally blocking the sun like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. He is there. It's not a lie. You can look it up and read all about it. So if you wonder what the spray and why you're getting a milky, hazy sky every single day. I mean, how many gray days have we had? About 30 with 2 or 3 sunny ones? Thanks, Mr. Gates.
Yeah, and think about this too. We had a guy. This was really weird for me today too. I don't know if it just happened on Conspiracy Theory Thursday. We had this group come into Facebook. It was called Notary Something Advisor, something or other. Jump into Facebook for all of 20 seconds. Drop some weird. Ambiguous HARP statement on us, and then link to something from HARP, and then just jump out. I've never heard from this group before, but I don't know if it's Conspiracy Theory Thursday. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories revolving around HARP. HARP is subject to numerous conspiracy theories. Various individuals have speculated about the hidden motivations and capabilities of the project. For example, this one individual warned in 1996 about the deployment of HARP as a military weapon. Another individual stated in his book published by the Committee on Monetary Economic Reform that, quote, recent scientific evidence suggests that HARP is fully operational and
weather weapon.
Has the capacity and capabilities to trigger floods, hurricanes, droughts, and earthquakes.
I can explain it really quickly.
Yeah, do it.
Okay,
yeah.
They spray with you spray the upper atmosphere with nanoparticulate, usually aluminum, barium, strontium, and a few other things. But what you do is you can use radio towers like Sharp's Ridge. They use these giant towers. You send high frequencies up into the atmosphere that can heat the aluminum, and then you get either your rainfall or you can cool. You can send different frequencies to push the weather in a certain direction. It's pretty basic, honestly.
Apparently, HARP has been blamed for generating such catastrophes as thunderstorms in Iran, Pakistan, Haiti, Turkey, Greece, and the Philippines. Even more power outages than we can name right now.
Okay.
The downing of TWA Flight 800, Gulf War Syndrome, and chronic fatigue syndrome.
You're telling me we can go to the moon, we can go to Mars, we can do all this technology, but we can't
control the weather.
We can't control the weather and send some heat up there.
Dude,
and
these sonic warfare attacks that are happening in Cuba.
Yeah.
Canada just pulled every single one of their what are they called? Not parliament members. The people that go over to.
They empty their embassies too?
Yeah, right. Canada empty all their embassies in Cuba because they're all having the same sort of like concussion type symptoms after hearing this high pitched frequency. It's wild stuff, man.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely wild.
And Napoleon even had the technology to control the weather.
He was making rain warfare. He was shooting cannons of sulfur up into the air to create rain, so the battlefield would then be muddy, and he knew it. He could control
carry
it.
cannons.
I just want to see. I want to find the Nazis' brown sound, where apparently you would defecate yourself on the spot. That's a real thing, too.
It is. Yeah.
9:58. Hope you enjoyed Conspiracy Theory Thursday. Going to have these guys back in real soon.
Hey, thanks, Knoxville.
Stick around for news, traffic, weather, all that. Glenn back next. Be back tomorrow doing it big.
That was fun, man. I like that. Yeah. Dude, if you can ever get him off again, for real, please do.
We got summer, and we'll have some breaks.
Oh yeah, that's true. Summer
If
works.
the grades keep going up, I'll pull you out one day. All right. We got to get the grades back up. Let's just say it doesn't help when the kid understands that the school's going to pass them regardless because they want the tax money. When he found that out, he goes, "Oh, screw it." I was like, "No, you can't say that. You have to try."
That's awesome. Oh man, well, dude, it was good meeting you, man. Yeah. Anytime you want to come back in or whatever else, man, I'd love to have you.
Grant, we could get him to explain some of these new, like the whole eco-fascist.
Yeah,
he understands internet culture better than I do, and he has to keep me on check.
Yeah, actually, dude, I made a purposeful stance about a decade ago to not do that internet culture thing, and I think I'm really paying for it now. I'm paying for it on the one hand, but I'm
He has
also
to keep me up on it. Right?
I know.
Feel behind.
Like the Facebook stuff, dude. Like any social media, I just desperately stayed away from all of it.
YouTube's the only thing I do.
Yeah, YouTube. I do YouTube, but
Edge of Wonder, incredible show.
Edge of Wonder.
Two very well put together guys who come on and explain without the Alex Jones craziness.
Right.
History, communism, even they even go into tying. I wanted to get into this. The Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, and communism. He was the first to really bring it out of something else. So it was great. They just go into the history of communism all the way down to its cult founding.
What's it called again?
Edge of Wonder.
Edge of Wonder.
And they're so calm about how they explain and how they have fun with it.
Yeah, that's the problem Alex Jones has, bro.
You can't.
I got the documents right in front of me.
Yeah, you don't need to get freaking out with tranny porn on it.
I don't know what happened there, bro. I mean, I don't know. Like everyone has their own fetishes, I suppose, but it's just that to me showed that like he's slipping a little bit. The cracks are showing. You know what I mean?
Mr. Hicks.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks, you're slipping.
going insane.
Yeah, no, honestly, bro. Like, I think the abyss is staring back a little bit with.
I think he's sold out and he's paying the price now.
Yeah, man. When he started coming out and calling the intellectual deep webs like puppets of the deep state, I didn't get that at all, bro. Like he was calling like the Jordan Peterson.
No, he had to explain to me about Jordan Peterson.
Really?
Yeah. He had to go show me where Jordan was kind of selling us out at the end.
He might be, dude. I haven't followed Peterson
he's
enough,
a
though.
leftist. He is.
Yeah.
But he's such a well-spoken. He is a philosopher. He's an intellect. He's principled, and all that's great. So right-wingers are like, great. I can get on board with you.
Like Ben Shapiro.
He's similar to Ben. He's going to sell you out in the end.
He's good at debating. He just looks very smart because he debates dumb people.
Yeah, Ben is a guy that I used to be all about for a while.
But you have to understand that he's not necessarily. He's a Canadian leftist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to put it this way: he's a Canadian right winger, but that still makes him an American leftist, right?
He still holds to some. You can still, he wants to be principled and philosophical. But somebody asked him about a Holocaust, like the Humidor,
the Humidor,
yeah, and the Ukrainian, and he folded. He folded like a cheap suit. He wouldn't touch it.
Well, even Ben Shapiro, man, to be all throughout law school, he was one of my guys, again, because I was such in that legal world, and that was his stick.
He's good at it.
The more I listen to him now, the more I'm starting to realize how much of a neocon he actually is, and it really just rubs me the wrong way, bro.
See, he had to point these things out some of the days, like, watch out for Peterson, watch out for Shapiro.
Yeah.
I'm like, how's my 14-year-old know this?
Well,
they're listening with different ears.
And they're good at certain things, and as long as you stay in your lane for those certain things for them, then it's not too... It's not too harmful to the person listening, but if all you are is Shapiro, then he makes a very reasonable argument as to why you should remain neocon. And for me, it's just
there's some. I'm a little too.
He seems to hate.
A little too liberal.
Seems to hate ethnic identity until it comes to him being.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, until it comes to Israel. Yeah, he's totally about until it's Israel.
And I get it, man. I mean,
I do too. You gotta sell.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has the reason to complain about their plight of, being dehumanized and as far as the world is concerned, maybe it's the Jews, maybe it's not.
Maybe it's not Ben, though.
Yeah, it's certainly not Ben.
Yeah, it's not Ben. Maybe it's,
Hey, Facebook, y'all the best. I'm going to end it there.
Great, thank you.
And just so everybody knows, Facebook, I probably won't be back in until Wednesday, unfortunately. So, yeah. It is what it is, though, Facebook. I'll let you know more about it later. I'm going to try and see what I can do. I might come in on Saturday and Sunday and try and pre-record 2 full shows so we don't have to, I don't know, man. I might do it this way to see if I can pre-record about 2 full shows and then have John just sort of run intros and outros in between or something, and he'll just comment on my stuff while he's sitting behind here and take phone calls or something. But I don't know. We'll figure something out, man. But Wednesday for sure I should be back. I'll let everybody know. Yeah, y'all the best. I'll talk to you soon.